and welcome back to another episode of a pinch of everything. That's the name of our podcast. And today we're going to be talking about Ian's lobby, or Enies lobby, like it's supposed to be said. But my brother kept saying Ian, so I wrote Ian on my notes. But yeah, anyway, today we're going to be talking about that.
I'm only a victim under circumstance, okay?
You kept saying it wrong. So
yeah,
you
because
got me
other
confused.
people said it wrong to me. So, you know.
Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so...
Your face.
Oh, so David and I... Oh, you heard. David is with us today. And I am Elizabeth from Psychology for Geeks. And as you heard, David is joining us today. And we will need your help to settle a debate between us that we're struggling with. David got a new microphone.
Damn, Skippy.
So we're not sharing it anymore. And I kept saying that my voice was super low and I didn't have what he said, quote unquote, good microphone habits, because I had to twist my body around in a weird way in order for us to be able to share the microphone.
Now, same.
Now, because I can look at my notes and have just the microphone in front of me and I don't have to worry about sharing it with him, I want to prove to him today in this video or this podcast episode that I do have good microphone habits and he is just wrong. So if you can hear me better than in the other episodes, or I guess a bit louder, and my voice is soft as it is, I know that, but if it's a little bit better than in previous episodes, please let us know in the comments, because I want to one-up David, because I do have good microphone habits, okay? He just doesn't understand.
Yeah, but the problem is I'm gonna make you sound good. So, no.
You don't change all that much in the edits.
Well, I'm glad you say it like that because it makes me feel better about how well I edit. If it sounds seamless and we sound around the same, then thank you, you know? I do work.
I don't know anything about sound editing, but I know I am right and David is wrong. So please prove me right by letting us know in the comments that I do have good microphone habits.
Let her know that she doesn't, because it'll be funny to me specifically.
No. All right. So with that being said and out of the way, I have tons of notes of what I want to talk about today. I did. I think in the previous video, I said that I was like super into like One Piece now because like we hit the plot, we hit the conspiracies and stuff was going down. So I was like really excited and I was just like speed reading. Not really. I was just actually reading every day. So I have lots I want to say. You know, a lot of this is after I watched the live action. Like this recording is after we watched the live action, so I have more of an idea of what's happening, and also like the big sort of reveal of who Luffy's grandpa was. I kind of had that spoiled because I watched the live action, but it was like very impactful. But by the time I read it in the comics, or like in the manga,
same thing.
Yeah. By the time I read it in the manga, it was like I knew it was gonna be him. But yeah. Anyway.
But did you see the whole the dad thing? Did you see that coming?
Kinda, because there was something. Damn. I don't know. I think if I got it spoiled, because I think I saw something that said the name. Oh, you know what it was? I watched one of the interviews that the cast did for the live action show, and the person who played Luffy said what his dad's name was. That's how I knew his dad's name was Dragon. So I knew the name, but I didn't know who he was. And like, so David made me watch. He wanted to see me cry because he's just mean to me.
No. It is an emotional moment that must be heard, seen, and felt, okay? Because the anime gives it like a musical score. It also makes it more personal when the voice actors are giving it their all during these big emotional climaxes. And yeah, I did kind of want to see you cry because I cry on it, and I'll be honest, I every time I see Robin's scene and Mary's scene, I cry every time.
So, just to fill in the gaps, I have only seen one of the animated movies and nothing after that. So David had me watch 2 episodes today, and it was really weird because yes, when I read it in the manga, I felt those moments like with when I was reading Robin's backstory, and when they set the merry-go on fire, I was like, yeah, tear, you know. But uh well, once I watched it, I was kind of fine because I got it out of my system because I just finished reading like this morning, and he made me watch like immediately after, so like I kind of already knew. And it was really weird for me because for some reason, maybe in my head I pictured the character's voice being different, but I I don't know, it was really weird because like I've talked about how Sanji is my favorite character, and whenever he was talking, I was like, his voice doesn't match Sanji for some reason. But also, it's not like I had like a voice in my head for Sanji, but it just sounded weird because I've kind of grown to care about these characters, but through the manga, like through the black and white like drawings, not through like the animated series. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird.
And to keep it clear, this is the English version
That was gonna be my other
or
thing that I
English
was gonna
dub.
ask you, because sometimes there is, depending on like the anime, because I know there's some anime that I watched where it sounded weird. The dub to me sounded weird, so I just prefer watching it in Japanese, on the Japanese version. So I was like, hey, maybe I'll try watching the Japanese version of One Piece. Maybe that the voice acting sounds more like the characters or something, like in my head. Like this is just like a personal preference, this isn't a like a critique of anything. But if you prefer one of the other, like let us know in the comments, or like if you have any ideas of why I think it sounds weird or if you experience the same thing.
You want to know what the messed up part is?
What?
I really like Sanji's voice in the English dub.
Really?
It's one of my favorites.
What?
That and Frankie's.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think because the first one that I watched was the live action, maybe I have those voices in my head.
Yeah, probably.
And then it sounds like
everybody
really
does have an
weird.
accent in it.
Yeah.
And after 8 hours, it just sounds natural.
Right? And that was like also my kind of my first experience slash my most recent experience like with the character of Sanji. So like, yeah, because even when I'm like reading something, I picture the actors now, not necessarily the animated ones, because I haven't really seen the animated one. Maybe it'll be different once I start actually watching the anime, but for now it just kind of sounds really weird to me.
Do you want to watch the Sand Princess or Princess of the Sands?
I thought you said
Something
we were
like
gonna do an episode where we were gonna like watch all the movies and then like talk about them.
that? Hey yo, I just want to watch more One Piece.
Dude, me too. But I also like, okay, so when after we finished watching One Piece, I was really struggling, like the live action one. I was really struggling because I was like, I don't know if I want to go back to continue reading the manga, or if I just want to sit here and like watch a bunch of TikToks about people reviewing and geeking out about like the live action. It took me a while to get off of TikTok and then like actually go back to reading, and then like I was hooked again when I started reading. But that's kind of like the problem, because when we were watching those episodes, I wanted to see the episode with Luffy and his grandpa, like sort of like the interaction with them. And then so we ended up watching like 3 episodes back to back. And then I was like, hey, I actually really do like this. And I was like, oh, maybe we should just start watching the anime together every now and then. Like obviously the ones I've already read. So maybe I'll grow more attached to the characters.
Okay, so because you read ahead, you got to see Brook. That's the skeleton
I
guy
just
with the
saw
afro.
him. I don't know his name. I don't know anything.
Well, yeah, but you know, at this point, you know. Point
Well,
being,
but I already knew David because I seen a bunch of pictures of him as being part of the crew, so I already know.
yeah. But here's the thing. Brooks' intro is one of my favorite intros. Like the way that they do it in the anime is really fun.
Wait, how long is Thriller Bark? Wait, is Thriller Bark the next arc, or is that the whole
Yeah,
saga?
Thriller Bark
Is that the arc or the saga?
arc.
How long is it?
I don't
Wait, hold
remember.
on. Let me flip through my thingy.
In the anime, it's a bit longer.
Oh, it's
because
only
they
like
do
40
have a bit of filler.
chapters.
Yeah, it's not that long technically.
Oh, I'm gonna be able to read that pretty fast. So yeah, I guess we can like start from like episode 1 and continue. So until what episode does the manga start getting sort of like super slow?
Intense?
No, no, no. Because I remember a few people like in the comments, and you also mentioned that the anime kind of like stretches out the episodes.
Oh.
Like, at what point does that start happening?
It's weird because it already happens. It's just not as bad right now in the earlier pre-time skip. Post time skip, it starts getting a little bit worse.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we can
Yeah.
watch like the pre-time skip stuff, because I'll probably be, I don't know, maybe done with it by the time we catch up, because that's a lot of episodes to watch, especially if
it
we want to
really
watch
is.
it like together. Our schedules don't always like align. So that's like a 10-minute sort of intro of us like discussing anything but Ian's lobby or Enies lobby.
Intro. I thought we were already in the middle of this. The
Well, I
discussion.
mean, at this point, yeah. No, I haven't even said any of my notes. So let's see. Oh, okay. So like one of the things that I really liked is that I think I mentioned in the previous episode, because he was kind of like Water 7 and Enies lobby kind of like meld together, so it's really hard. I think I ended up reading past Water 7 when we were recording for Water 7. So I saw like when Usopp like put on the mask and started calling himself, what was it, the
Soge King or Sniper King?
yeah. So that I really like that Sanji was like, okay, I'm just gonna roll with this. Like, he was very sort of like aware of Usopp and how he might be feeling. So he turns to Frankie, because Frankie's like, what the heck? Clearly that's Usopp, right? But then Sanji's like, let's just consider his feelings and not talk about it. And I really like it how at first most of them, well, the only ones that didn't realize that was Usopp was what's his name?
Chopper and Luffy.
Yes. Shoot, I just finished reading this and like the names. Anyway, so like Chopper and Luffy were the only ones that like throughout the whole time they didn't know he was the Sniper King, and everybody else was like, okay, we know it's you. And like throughout the fights and stuff, they kept like, especially when he was getting hurt or something dangerous was happening around Usopp,
They would just yell, Usopp!
yeah, and then like go back to sort of like calling him like Sniper King. And then like I think Nami started just calling him like long nose or like nose a sniper or something like that. Like they would just meld like both of his names together. And like at one point he's like, who is that? Because she like combined Usopp's name and like with like Sniper King, and like it was like this really weird name. I just thought that was like really funny. And I thought that was very considerate of the crew that they waited until he was ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I really loved about that bit right there. He didn't have the confidence to essentially face Luffy. So until he does, his crew gave him enough space and time for him to be able to do such things.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about this because I kind of like, I can feel Usopp in this, because once he sort of introduces himself as the Sniper King, Usopp is like awkward, like super awkwardly asking Sanji and Frankie, would you guys have any questions like where Sniper Island is or anything like that? And then in my head I was like, bro, no, less information you provide, the easier it is for you to keep track of lies. And because I'm a horrible liar. I can't lie. Like if I'm like trying to pull a prank on someone, I can't keep it to myself, because then I start giggling. Like I just try not to lie, so I just keep quiet, but then I just start giggling, so that gives me away. And when I do lie, it's a horrible lie. Like people can tell miles away that I'm lying. So I was like, nah, bro, internet says you have to keep it like stupid simple. Just keep it very, very simple, not to get caught up in your lies.
Yeah, the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
So one of the questions that I had, but it kind of got answered, was who are the Neptunians? Because they kept saying, oh, the Neptunians is gonna come get you. And then I was just thinking it was gonna be like parents when they're like, oh, the boogeyman is gonna come get you, you know, like that's kind of how it felt. But then later, like, I just realized that the Neptunians are like just massive ass monsters in the sea, right?
Yeah.
That kind of got an answer afterwards. Oh, okay. So when I got to the part where like Sanji and Usopp were like sort of left behind on the, is it something Tom? What's the name of the train?
Puffin Tom?
Yeah. When they were like when their two carts got separated and they just kind of stayed like abandoned in the middle of the sea because they didn't have like an engine. They were like, oh, no. This was before. Oh, my gosh. I don't even know what I'm talking about. No. This one was before when they let two of the carts go with all of the Navy people in it. And then they were like, hey, but they're following after us using the same tracks. Like, what are we going to do? Or what are they going to do? And then Sanji's like, they'll figure it out. Like, he wasn't even worried. He's like, my crew has it.
The amount of
like,
confidence he had in his captain and basically his right-hand man, he was like, yeah, no, whatever they're gonna do, they're gonna get through it. It's no big deal.
I think we kind of talked about this when we were discussing the live action one, but that was like a while back now. So I wanted to talk about it again. I felt like, especially towards the end, we really, at least to me, this was the first time that Luffy was actually like a captain. And like, it was very much he was very much in like captain mode. So I really did like it, but I don't want to talk about it like ahead of time because then I'm not gonna have any notes. Let's see. Oh yeah, when no, I think this happened twice. So the first time it happened with Usopp when he found out that Frankie was a cyborg. He was kind of like, what can you do? And his like engineering mind was just like going like 1,000 miles a minute. And then later on, it was Chopper who was like, wait, what can you do with the different kind of juices that I throw at you? Like, what do you do? And that part was really funny to me. They're just kind of like, in a way, they're both scientists, just like different type of science that they're into. But they had that curiosity of like, wait, let me test it out. Let's see what happens if we do this.
Hey, let's fuck around. What's going on here?
Yeah, basically. Okay, so David, you didn't freaking show me. The one part that I wanted to see was the fight between Sanji and like the ramen dude. The ramen evil guy, because it wasn't that one, it was another one, but that one was
him versus the wolf guy, right?
Yeah,
Jabra?
That was another one that I wanted to see. You didn't show me that, but like I thought it was.
You didn't say anything. Huh? You didn't tell me.
I told you yesterday, I think.
Yeah, but when we were watching it, you didn't say anything.
I forgot. Shut up.
Well, that sounds like a personal problem now, doesn't it?
But I just thought it was like really funny how the evil cook guy was like mocking he was just mocking everyone. First he mocked Usopp when he was like ramen, and then he was like ramen, and then that reminded me of like, you know that TikTok video that's going around with the mockingbird? It's like, oh, is that a mockingbird? Oh, is that a mockingbird? Is it a mockingbird? That was just so funny. Like the whole time throughout like the fight with him and Sanji and the cook, like I was just like, he kept making fun of Sanji and his eyebrow, right? And then Sanji would get like super upset. And then like the whole time I kept thinking of that video. Are you a mockingbird? Are you a mockingbird?
That's all he had for a comeback. He's like, oh yeah, your eyebrow's dumb. And then Sanji's like taking his ass. Yeah, but your eyebrow's still dumb.
But he got Sanji there. Sanji did not have a leg to stand on, okay?
No, he had two.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about is that part of the reason, like he listed like 3 different reasons why he was gonna like just like beat up the evil cook ramen dude, because he made fun of his profession, right? Like it was so gross. Like when he made ramen. Oh, I was gonna ask you this question, David. You know how the evil ramen cook, like he made ramen through his nose?
Yeah,
Yeah,
gross.
and then I
Yeah.
was like, but you know how Naruto's like super obsessed with ramen? Do you think he would still eat it? Because he's,
No, I think he'd still be really grossed out. He would have been like, no, no, no thanks.
I don't know.
Because he spat out food before when he knew it was like weird or something.
Okay. I was like, because I'm thinking of like
I
the
think.
Naruto when he was like 12-year old. Maybe he would spit, like he would eat it and then like maybe spit it out like once he realized like how the ramen was made. But that was really gross. So I kind of like can relate to Sanji, like Sanji being upset that somebody else was sort of like bath mouthing or like being a bad cook or bad chef, because I get really upset when I hear stories about mental health professionals who have done questionable things, just to say. Because a lot of the times in my head, somebody who has been like working as a therapist in the field for a while has had enough experience and they're licensed, they had all the training that they need. Sometimes they don't make the best decisions out there. Maybe it was because it wasn't like the right client for them, or they were having a bad day. Maybe I don't really know, but like more often than not, I hear people complain about their previous therapist. Like one time I had these parents came in saying something about, oh well, they had to change they wanted to change therapists because their child was told by the previous therapist that that child's stepmother was mean. And then so like the therapists were like, yeah, or like the parents were like, yeah, that's not a good thing. We don't really like that. And then every time they will ask for information about how their child was doing in therapy and if they could do anything on their end to help, the therapist would often respond with, well, I can't tell you anything because of confidentiality. And I'm like, well, that's not how confidentiality works for children, because the parents have a right to know what's going on. And also, when you work with a child, you're not only working with the child, you're working with like the whole entire family, because you only see, like us as therapists, we only see the child for like an hour a week, if we're lucky. Sometimes it's like twice a month or something, depending of how often they go to the therapy sessions, or their availability and our availability. So being on the same page, like the therapist and the parents being on the same page, is essential, because the parents can implement the things that you're working on in therapy. um, of course, you don't have to do like a play by play of what the child does or what you discuss with the child, but parents will still benefit, and the child will benefit from the therapist having this conversation with the parents. So that just makes me really mad. You're not gonna say anything?
Well, what the fuck am I supposed to say? That this is not my
Just be angry
realm
on
of
my behalf,
expertise.
okay? That's what I expect.
Okay. Yeah, what the fuck, man? That is so uncool that people would just go into a profession not knowing what to do and then just kind of like BS their entire way through. Not especially when it's like a profession that you have to help people and then they straight up just do the complete and utter opposite. There. Did that work for you?
Yes, thank you. So I don't really know why I wrote this note, but my next note says, dude, I forget side characters so easily. I think that's something I have complained about quite often, so I don't know why I wrote that down. But one of the quotes that I wanted to talk about was actually from Usopp this time. I
Ooh.
know, right? So the quote is, the straw hats aren't so weak that they need you to worry about them. And I think this is when he was talking to Robin. Um, because I think, okay, so part of what I wanted to talk about, okay, before I go on like my rant as usual, let me know, what do you think about this quote, David? What's your opinion on this?
For that
Yeah.
one? Hmm. I think it was him telling Robin to have way more confidence in her friends, the allies that she has, well, her found family, to have more confidence in them because Luffy is, well, A, absurdly strong, and so is Zoro and Sanji. But not only that, they will not stop until they get their goal or they're out of like whatever troubles. Um, when they're out of whatever troubles or turmoils, and they take like all of their family with them, even if they're like completely hurt by the end of it, they'll still do something about it and they'll still try to keep the family together.
Yeah, basically, this just kind of reminded me of how a lot of the times there's a lot of people who would think or say something like, "Oh, I just don't want to worry them." Right? That's why I don't ask for help. That's why I don't reach out to anybody, because I don't want them to like I don't want to be a burden to my loved ones. But with this quote, it's I really liked it because Usopp was saying like, well, we can help you because we're not as weak as you think. Like, you don't have to worry about us. Like, it can be sort of like a thing where we work on it together. So like, the more people that you have on a project, sometimes, the faster it gets done, the easier the project becomes, because there's more hands, there's more minds, right? And I thought that's what kind of like what Usopp was trying to let her know, that you don't have to suffer alone. Like, we can do it together. And even though, yeah, it is your suffering and will be sad, it's not something that's gonna break them. And I think I really like this because this is something that happens commonly, to all of us. At one point or another, we all had a thought of like, I shouldn't say anything because I don't want them to be upset, or I don't want to be a burden, or something along those lines. And so one of the things that sort of like I started thinking too, but is like, what do you so because both sides in this situation, the crew, Luffy and the crew, were worried about Robin, and then Robin was worried about the crew, and they were both doing something completely different that the other group didn't like, because they were both trying to protect each other, right? So but that wasn't working because one or the other was going to get hurt. So in this situation, what worked better was for them to have a compromise, right? For both to say, hey, we're in this together, sort of thing. And then so I wanted to hear your opinion, because sometimes you have wisdom, and I want to test out to see if you have any wisdom to share with us today. What do you think compromising means?
Wait, hold on. Let me find a random fortune cookie and read what that says.
Your lucky numbers are 7, 22, 35, and 50.
Wow, that tells me nothing, but okay.
You are a great
Let me
friend.
see.
You are expecting
Compromise.
something great in your future. Is that better?
No, but for the compromise bit, it is the willingness to listen to each other and what each other needs. Because compromising, a lot of people just hear that and say, "Oh, well, I have to give up something to make them happy, but I don't want to give it up," so on and so forth. But that's not what compromise means to me personally. Compromise is, what do you need as a person in order for you to be happy? And then I'll tell you what I need as a person for me to be happy. And let's find a middle where we are able to fully gain what we both want, just at maybe slightly separate times, or so on and so forth.
Or maybe not the exact way that you pictured it, but it's still, because a lot of people have this idea of like compromise means one side or the other loses, right? Or there has to be some
Yeah.
sort of sacrifice that's done. And in a sense, yes, it does. So let's say you and I were working together to build a house. It will never happen because neither of us is coordinated enough, interested enough, or skilled enough to be able to pull this off. But let's pretend. Okay.
What you mean, fool? I got Minecraft.
So as you heard, neither of us is able to do it. So let's pretend we're both
Call
building a
bananas.
house, and I want a house that has a beautiful garden, and it's like a beautiful, like huge garden and a smaller house. But David wants a big house and no garden. When
No, no, I want a big house and an underground house.
well, no, you can't have an underground house because I don't know something about my plants, so you can't do that, right? Okay, so a lot of people think that the way for us to compromise is for me to give up my garden or David to give up his underground house or for both of us to give up that, right? Neither of us gets what we want. We just get a weird old house that we're working on together. And it's neither of us wants it, neither of us is planned it that way. But actually, a compromise would be like, okay, I can still have a garden, but it might not be as big, so there's room, or maybe like a budget for David to do his underground house,
Yay!
right? But oftentimes we confuse compromise with like, oh, well, David is my brother, and he's younger, and I really do love him, so I'm just gonna give up my dreams and then have David have the house that he always dreamed of. But I'm gonna sacrifice it, and I'm gonna be sad for the rest of my life because I don't have the beautiful big garden that I always imagined. Right? But that's not a compromise. That's just a sacrifice. One side is winning, and the other is losing. That's not what compromise is. And like, I completely agree with you where there has to be this back and forth sort of conversation in order to be able to understand what the other person really wants. So, yeah, you did have some wisdom in you today, David. Good job.
Woo!
So, you know how I don't think this is something that just Oda does, but it happens quite often just in anime, I think, in general. When the characters are really upset about something or angry, they're usually drawn with like really pointy teeth. That is like
Yeah.
my absolute favorite trope for some reason. Like, it looks so funny to me. Like when their face is like all red and angry, and like the teeth are like all sharp and pointy. And so
Ayo, Zoro and Zanji all the time, every time.
yes, I mean, I think maybe that's why I noticed it, because I might have been a face that Sanji pulled or something. But yeah, I just thought, I think it's really funny.
It is. I
Do you
concur.
have like a trope like that you find really funny?
Mm, can you get back to me on that one? I have to think about it. Unfortunately, my brain space isn't so space brain.
My next one is kind of lame note. I just put, the sea weasel. Who was fighting the sea weasel?
Oh, wait, I got it. You know when a character goes like, "Oh yeah, don't do this one thing," and then just immediately does the thing they told you not to do? And then everybody else just calls them out on their shit, and they're like, "Oh shit."
This happens a lot here, doesn't it? Especially with Luffy, and they're like, don't. Well, it's just with the boys, because Nami's always like, don't do that, and the boys are like halfway doing the thing that she told him not to do.
Yeah, basically. That is like the gag that I love so much from this series.
Oh yeah, Sea Weasel.
Sea
Yeah, he
Weasel.
did the moonwalk. I don't. Maybe that was amusing to me at the time. Now I don't find it as amusing. I don't know.
Sea Weasel?
Yeah, it was one of the CP9 people, I think. Or he was like the captain or something of like the Navy. It doesn't matter. He was like a minor character. He doesn't really show up later.
Yeah.
He gets his ass handed to him and he doesn't really appear. But I think you had sort of like mentioned this a little bit, but then when I got to it, it was freaking amazing, because then Zoro cut the train in half because the shark train, it kind of reminds me of like the bullet train. It was just like going really fast, and like the two train cars were like right there, like in the way, and then Zoro was like, excuse me, and then he just like cut it in half. It was so funny the way that Oda drew like everyone inside the car. They were like just like, what just happened? Like everyone had like the same sort of like expression in their face. They were like, what the fuck, what is this? It was hilarious. What are you doing?
I immediately like the part where Luffy goes like, "Hey Zoro," and then Zoro's like, "Yeah." that thing's in front of us. Get rid of it. And he's like, all right. And then immediately everybody else is like, just like that.
Oh, hey, David. So I was actually
Yeah.
going to bring this up because I read somewhere. I didn't. It was on TikTok. It was like a TikTok video that somebody was saying, oh, this is a reminder that Oda has confirmed that if Luffy ever asked Zoro to kill one of the crew members, he would do it. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Slash, did you? I don't. I was like, I always want to be like optimistic and be like, no, he wouldn't.
Absolutely not. Luffy would literally never tell Zoro to kill somebody.
But if he did,
No, he wouldn't.
but if he did, as a
No,
joke,
he won't. Nope.
when he was drunk.
That's a joke? What the fuck? What kind of joke is that? Get out of here.
Because, I mean, it made sense to me because I feel like Zoro does look up to him. Like, even now, I'm starting to see, like, sort of like the relationship that the crew has with Luffy in general, or like with Zoro. And I see that Zoro, like, hella respects Luffy and, like, does as he says, you know, like, without, like, questioning it or anything.
Yeah, but that's because he trusts him that much.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's immediately what I thought too. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But Luffy would never ask him to do that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's kind of boring when we both have the same opinion. We're just like, yes, you're right. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think you're right too.
I think it's because it all stems from admiration to begin with, because they see someone following their dreams so vehemently, and that just causes inspiration within like the entire group.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we see it over and over again how much Luffy believes in his crew. Even if the crew doesn't believe in themselves, Luffy has enough belief for like to go around for everyone. And then so eventually everyone starts believing in Luffy because he believes in them so much. And then every time they have like a success, I feel like they're reminded of how, oh, it was Luffy who believed in me like since the beginning, and I was able to accomplish this. So if I can make this accomplishment, I can believe that Luffy will be the king, the pirate king.
The king of the pirates.
Yes. Let's see.
Okay. Here's like something completely utter order, but like it's a question that just popped into my brain hole. What do you think of Goldie Rogers his ship's name? The Oro Jackson.
Ah, no thoughts. I
Oro
haven't.
Jackson.
I don't really remember seeing
Gold Jackson.
like a picture of it. So I don't know.
There's an egg in it.
What?
Yeah.
In like the ship itself?
In the ship.
Oh.
Yeah. Big ass egg just in there.
Ship? Oro Jackson?
Yeah, like Oro?
Oh, like gold?
Yeah.
I don't really get the Jackson part though.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe that was his name? Mom's
What?
name?
No. No.
I don't know. His
Oh.
lover's name?
Also, I don't know if Tom named the ship or if Goldie Roger named it.
Oh, good point. Good point. Yeah, I don't know.
Because remember, Frankie wanted to name the ship, and it could very well end up being like, oh, Tom just suggested Oro Jackson, and they liked it, so they kept it. Because what was it? Iceberg suggested the name for their current ship.
Wait.
they
Hold
liked
on.
it, so they kept
Hold on. Yeah. Thousand Sunny, right? Oh,
Yay.
yes. I remember one name out of like 1,000.
So, it's a ship that will sail 1,000 seas and see 1,000 dawns.
I think that is that a direct translation?
Something along the
Yeah, because
those
it's
lines.
really weird.
It's been a while.
Like, you know, like just as an English like listener, I guess, or viewer, like Thousand Sunny sounds like maybe 1,000 suns will make more sense. That's why I was like, it sounds like
Well-
a direct translation. Because you know how kanji can have like a bunch of like different hidden meanings and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
can see why like that specific kanji or like that name was chosen. But like to us, that it sounds really weird. Or is that just me?
It's just you, because I'll be honest, I'm used to
Oh,
it by
yeah.
now. So when I just think of the ship, I just either think Sunny or 1,000 Sunny.
Yeah. All right.
It's the ship, the Sunny.
So you know how everyone sort of like names their or calls all their moves when they make them, like their special moves.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't mind move like the names for like my moves would be like so dumb. Like they would be like um kicking stuff or super cool punch or like something like that. Like I don't like I have a hard time like name like coming up with real name like really cool names. Or I would
Yeah,
just
like
steal other
honesty
people's
impact or
names.
something.
What would your like moves be called?
Well, it depends. Hypothetically, am I a brawler or like do I have swords? Maybe a
I don't know.
pistol
What do
and a
you want
sword?
to have?
I want to have two machetes.
Well, okay. Well, two machetes. Then what would you? Would you just be calling out like names in Spanish, like random ass names, like nopales y queso,
No, 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 no. It'd be like random, just every other Mexican word that I know.
tortas y
So it'd be like,
tortillas.
no, no, like, it'd be like, Michoacán, carne de perro, mequetreque.
I actually don't know what that one means, but
Yeah, me neither.
but the previous one you said, just in case there's people out there who don't know Spanish, he said dog face was one of his moves. Michoacan is the name of a state in Mexico. I was just calling out like food names.
But here's the
Yeah.
thing. Uh, what's his name? Zoro's moves are all based off of animals and like food puns, like onigiri.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are like the more varied ones, I feel like. Maybe.
It's because you understand what he's saying, and for Sanji's moves are all like in French.
So, okay, that was one of my notes that I had. I was like, when you were
Shut.
reading it, did you just kind of like skipped over Sanji's moves names? Because I can't even pronounce them anyway, and I have no idea what they mean. So I would just be like, oh yeah, French word. I'm moving on.
Kinda, but then at the same time, I did watch the anime for like a while, so I'm just used to him saying it at this point. So every time I recognize the words or the pattern of the words, I'm like, oh, it's just the mutton shot or the collier shot or maybe devil jamble or diable jamble.
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because I'm just like, French word, move on. And like I read him, I just realized that like because for the names too I get really confused, and like I've never heard the names be like said out loud except for like the main crew members. So
You've heard them say it out loud.
except for the main crew members, like other names,
Oh, from the bad
yeah,
guys.
like the bad guys are like just background characters that sometimes they
Oh, background characters, absolutely not. But main bad guys, the ones that we're fighting, yeah, they have named
well, I
moves.
know, and that's not what I'm saying, David. What I'm saying is that when I read the name of a character that is really
Geek.
weird, half of the time I don't know how to pronounce it. So I read it like if I
Yeah.
would be reading Spanish. Like I sound it out. And then like you say it and I was like, yeah, I was saying it way wrong. That's what I meant.
What's the first name that comes to mind?
The first name?
Yeah, the one that like a name that you had completely messed up in your head, and then I help fix.
Well, the first one I kind of mentioned, you kept saying Ian's lobby, and it's Enies lobby. Who was it? Oh, you know that one I realized I've been reading wrong the whole time? Can you say the name of Nami's mom?
Oh no, Belmare.
Yeah. I kept
Yeah.
reading it as Bellemere.
Bellamere.
Bellemere. Like it was like two words for me for some reason.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, but also it is one word.
Well, yeah, I know, but like, I just like heard it because they mentioned it in the. I think it was Nami was like, "Oh, we lost the trees," and then said the name of her mom, and I was like, "Whoa, I was way off." What's another name? I'm pretty sure I started reading Helmepos.
Oh,
Okay,
Helmeppo.
I think it's Helmepo, but for some reason I always read it as Helmepo.
I mean, it is like slightly different towards the accent, but everything else you have basically down. Well done, well
I
done.
can't really remember um like the other names. Oh, I think you corrected me on one earlier today because I like you saw me hesitate on the name because I didn't know because like in Italian when you have two C's next to each other it makes a different sound, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
Lucci?
and then so sometimes I will read it as Lucci and sometimes I will read it as Lucy. So I was like, I don't know, one of the two is correct. I was like, I don't know if it's
Ah,
Italian or
you got it
not.
right. It is in fact Italian. Italiano. Not gonna lie, Lucci's character design is one of my favorites. He just looks so sleek,
And like
you know?
menacing, but
Oh,
not like because I
absolutely.
feel like a lot of like characters or like creators, and they're usually like when it's like an
Go overboard?
yeah, when it's an evil character they either make it look like super monstrous and ugly and that's how you know that they're supposed to be like super powerful, um or they go like the complete different route where they're like yeah super powerful but they are very very feminine looking for some reason because they're just
Yeah,
supposed to be
yeah.
that handsome. I don't know.
Well, no, I think it's mainly what Japan. Because here's a good example for what I want to say. You remember JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
I think I'm only up to like season 3, so.
Well, yeah, you don't have to know
Oh,
anything
okay.
later. You know how it started where they were like completely jacked,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, back during that time,
like the 80s.
what was more appealing in a character design was someone who was like outrageously buff. But nowadays, a more like slim, slick figure is what it's all the rage. Even though at this point it's starting to get really, really boring because all the characters are looking the same.
I saw a thing. I don't know where I saw it, but it said that Oda was talking to another creator, I think, and was telling them that when he started creating One Piece, he tried to do the exact opposite of whatever was popular at the time.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, huh. Like he was even talking about like the hairstyles for the girls. Where like I guess the hairstyle back in the day was to have your hair like go into like your neck kind of. So he made it like
But that
spiky
was
outwards.
I thought it was the other way around. It was like spiky outwards, so he was like, nah, screw it. So I'm a spiky inwards.
I don't know.
Point being, he was not doing what everybody else was doing.
Maybe that's why it's still like lasted because
Oh,
now like you
absolutely.
said, like a lot of characters are very like sleek, very feminine looking. And that's sort of like the appeal of like Baki and like Jojo because they're like just like jacked.
They are
And
outrageously
it's just
buff.
like such a like funny contrast, I guess, with the other characters. And then it's kind of like a
I love it.
cycle because right now Luffy is like strong, but he's like very like slim and skinny. But I guess it just makes sense for his character.
Yeah, because he's rubber.
Yeah, but also like I feel like what I really like about this is that there's so many I guess kind of like different styles because Luffy's very much like super laid back. He looks very much like a beach boy, with his sandals and his hat and his little vest.
Yeah.
But then Sanji's over here being like uber professional with a tie and everything and like being super fashionable all the time. And then there's like Zoro being just like a warrior guy who couldn't care less about things, but he just wants to wear black.
Or green. Well, in the anime, it's straight up a lot of green.
Yeah. And so like I don't know. I really like that aspect.
Out of all the characters, whose clothing style do you like the most so far?
Bro, there's a reason why Sanji's my favorite, bro.
Yeah, that is fair.
I
Because
like
I
him
do
because he
like
looks like
his
really
suits.
cool. Like every time, like even if he's wearing like different clothes and stuff, he still looks stylish. So I really like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. What do you like?
yeah, I agree. Besides Sanji, Zoro.
He just looks really comfortable in whatever he wears.
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly my style. I want to be comfy all the time,
Bro,
every time.
there's a reason why they're our favorite, man. Are you trying to
He's
detect a
just like
pattern?
me, for real, for real.
Oh, so one of the things that I really liked was the fact that Sanji was like, because I think he grabbed like out of nowhere, he just like pulled out this knife when he was like fighting with that
It
noodle.
wasn't out of nowhere. They were inside a
Okay,
kitchen.
so when I saw that he had the knives, I went back to look for the panel where he got the knives and I couldn't find it. But then eventually, like, he put them back and I was like, oh, he must have grabbed them from there. But I was like, where the hell did he pull knives from? Because he never fights with knives. But he was like in a kitchen and he was fighting with food, so I guess it makes sense. You know, he was pulling out the moves.
But of course, Sanji being Sanji, he was still really good at using
Yeah,
knives.
but like one of the things that I really liked is that I really liked the fact that Sanji was like kitchen knives are not for cutting people. Like he had a very distinct thing. I don't know if he just doesn't like cutting people in general. He preferred to use like his like awesome leg power or
Well, besides Zeph teaching him how to fight, he also has a lot of respect for cooking utensils and like the kitchen in general.
yeah, I mean like I just wait. What was the thing? I think it was in the live action where Sanji was like, I am very um what's the word? Not responsible. But you where you're like keep track of your stuff. Disciplined. Wow, that is I was way off. I think in the live action Sanji said that he was very disciplined. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I can see that because he has very firm boundaries about things and he's not willing to cross them. Even when it comes to like, because later on, like he ends up fighting something with a K. Khalifa?
Haku?
Yeah, he ends
Khalifa?
up fighting her, but then he's like, I won't hit a lady. And then so I was like, okay, like we'll get to that. But like he has very strict sort of boundaries. So I really like that. And I think that's very helpful for us to have as well. Like for us to have like boundaries for ourselves because otherwise like we can derail really, really fast. Like it usually starts with like, oh, well, you know, it's not necessarily someone crossing my boundary like completely, so this minor thing it's okay, and then it just kind of like keeps escalating until eventually you realize that the boundary is like no longer there. I was gonna say something else about boundaries and I forgot.
Wait.
Oh, now that you made that noise, okay, so this was the first. I think I complained before in another episode about the laughs, how they were so weird for me to read because I couldn't like. I've never heard like how they sound, and in my head when I make them, it sounds really weird. So like I moved on. But when the guy, what was it? It was the giant that saved Robin.
It was one of the giants that were guarding the door to Enies lobby.
No, it wasn't him. It was the giant that saved Robin. That's the one that made the weird laugh.
Oh, Jaguar?
I think so. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Soul?
Yes. Him. He had this really weird laugh that he taught Robin, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, I can see that it is funny," but I just couldn't like as I couldn't picture it in my head or like I kind of sounded out in my head when I would read it, so it was just like annoying me.
Honestly, if you have time, just like quickly Google the laughs.
There's a compilation of all the laughs, isn't there? Like on YouTube.
Absolutely. But like once you get to another unique laugh from like a main-ish character looking guy, just Google their laugh real quick. See how dumb they sound.
So we saw the characters like really level up and pull things out of like thin freaking air because you don't really see that. I think one of the things that annoys me, I guess, a little bit is that because this is for entertainment, and obviously like Oda isn't gonna be like, okay, so like every day at 5 a.m. Sora and Luffy wake up to train like that. Like he's not gonna do that, you know, because that would be dumb and boring. But in my head, I'm like, how are they always so strong? Why are they always putting new moves out of nowhere, but we never see them train? They're just really
Yeah,
good.
we do.
Do we? When?
Yeah. There are a couple of times, I think later on, you basically see Zoro just like pumping a lot of iron.
Well, he's
If
the
he's
only one that
not-
I've seen because I remember a couple of panels where he was just either sleeping or like lifting weights. But I never seen Luffy train. All he
Yeah.
does is eat.
Yeah, and stretch.
Well, like I can't really see that, or like I don't really remember seeing that in like the panels that I read, or like in the volumes that I read so far.
Yeah, he's always like playing around and stretching up like different body parts and just being weird about it sometimes. And obviously, like his crew's like, "Hey, yo, cut that shit up," or they just stop minding it at this point because they're so used to him and his shenanigans.
Well, I guess the way that Luffy trains is different than Zoro.
Well, yeah, because he has a devil fruit.
Well, no, yes, but also like Luffy would kind of get bored doing the same thing over and over again, like Zoro does. So like he's just kind of
Yeah.
like it's like he's just like fooling around, but he's actually like testing things out. Probably, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's my headcanon, at least.
Okay, so one of the like new moves that came out was when Sanji did a plastic surgery kick and made the ugly like evil cook look pretty again. Do you remember that?
I love
That was
that
just
move.
so funny because he's like, oh no, my teeth! I was so proud of my teeth. You messed them up, and they were like all straight and nice and neat. And I guess he wanted them like really ugly. And I was like, what? Like, I was like so confused at that time. And then like the crazy cook was like, oh, give me back my individuality, right? And then I was like, oh,
That's one way to put it, and that's an interesting way to put it.
yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but also he's a bad guy, so fuck him.
I mean, I was like, well, is that really individuality? Because like sometimes I think I don't really understand sometimes because I've never really had someone that I've asked about it. But I think when people are trying to, I think we see this especially a lot in teenagers where they go very extreme on things in order to be individuals, I don't really understand the like extremes of things, but I guess maybe that's just what they like. I don't know. I'm not a very sort of like extreme person. I like happy mediums of things. That might also be
Hey, yo, sir.
that might also be my anxiety talking, like I don't want to stand out too much because then that would be really awkward and then people would talk to me or like say things about me and like nah, that was just make me super anxious. But when the clown was like give me back my individuality, like that hit me because I was like, oh, I felt that because I had a lot of jobs before where we had to be professional in our clothing, and what I deem professional wasn't necessarily what other people think it's professional. So there were several times where I was told, you can't wear that because it's not very professional. And I was like, but I thought it looked really cute and I thought it was professional. Like I didn't really understand.
The professionality of work is not really for people like us who find it fucking boring.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, okay. Because in my head, I was like, okay, you want business casual? That's like slacks or like a nice like cardigan or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, but it's going to be bright pink. And you can't tell me nothing. It's still like what you asked for, but it's going to be a bright color. I never really brought those colors though, but I always like whenever my attention was called by like a supervisor or someone sort of like from our top, that was always my immediate thought. I was like, oh yeah, I'll give you professional. I'm gonna come here with like a Pikachu yellow like outfit. It's gonna be professional, but it's just gonna be like blindingly bright. I never did it, but I thought about it.
Coward.
But I think it's just like it really would annoy me because I was like, but it's not like I was indecent or like underdressed, It was just a different style of dressing that apparently wasn't corporate enough or business enough or whatever, professional enough.
Yeah, fuck him.
Oh, okay. This is what's that guy with the bird? What's his name again? Yeah,
Bucci.
him. He was just kind of like, I think this is what happened. Okay, because I don't know. I forgot who fought him, but I think it was the seal guy. he fought someone, one of the crew members, and he lost. And then so he came back to headquarters and he told them he lost. And then Lucci was like, you suck. And then just K him, like he was KO for the guy. And he's like, we don't need you if you suck. And I was like, damn, bro, like that escalated quickly.
Cold-hearted assassin. And not only that, CP9 is one of the more prestigious CPs out there because it's secret. Ooh.
I know, but he was also like a subordinate. I was like, maybe he just needed extra training, you know what I mean? But he was like, not
Maybe you suck, Lucci. Huh? You ever think about that?
That I suck?
No, Lucci.
Well, I mean, yeah, he does.
But he still looks really fucking cool.
Okay, so one of the things was like when they were trying to rescue Robin, Sanji turns to Usopp and then he said like, oh, smoke screens are lame, right? Because he used smoke screen to like help them escape. And but then Sanji was like, yeah, they're lame, but it wasn't, so they didn't expect it, that's why it worked, right? And then Usopp was like, yeah, but it was effective. And then like that reminded me of like, I don't know if you got to the part, because I know you got tired of Naruto relatively quickly, but did you see that one episode where like Naruto and like his team, they're fighting that one like goddess lady, and then Naruto turns in, you know, he has the harem jutsu. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
He turned to a bunch of like sexy guys, and that actually worked, and everyone in his team was like, I can't believe that actually worked. And I was like,
I love Sakura's reaction to that. He's like, that worked. She's all
like,
like,
oh man,
bleeding out her nose and
like,
whatnot.
and like, I mean, like, this is like that's a completely like character thing for Naruto. Like, you know, he does have like a lot of like moves like that where he does unexpected things and they work because people don't see it coming. And then I'm over here like cheering on Usopp, and I'm like, yeah, you go, like just do like things that are unexpected, that are like stupid simple, because like everyone else in the team has like, they're like, oh, I can't beat you, let me just level up real quick, you know? And then Usopp's like, nah, let me just do something unexpected. And I was like, that's just way easier, man. You don't have to level up or nothing.
Usopp, if anything, he is very clever.
I have a lot of notes, so this is gonna go on for a long while. But I have another quote for you.
Jesus Christ.
This one is by Frankie. Existing is
Frankie.
not a crime. Thoughts, David?
Existing is not a crime. Just because you are told by people around you that you are a waste of space, that's not for them to decide that. That's for you to figure out what usefulness this world has for you.
Okay, I'm gonna totally interrupt you. I don't know if you're gonna keep going or that was the end of your thing.
No, that's
but
it.
I really like that you
got.
said that. You said, what is the world going to do for you? Because it's usually like, oh, what can you do for the world? Right? But you were like, no. What is the world doing for you?
Nah, fuck the world.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, this is when he was talking to Robin, right? And he was kind of letting her know that her existence wasn't a crime, because that's basically what she was told since she was 8, right? That she was a crime, especially by like people that were trying to hunt her down, and she didn't really have any friends before, so you know, she got that a lot, and just years of hearing that must have been really, really hard. So I really liked Frankie, because he was kind of like, whenever the crew couldn't get through to people, Frankie was like, you dumb. In seconds, like the crew, whatever the crew said, but says it in like slightly different words, and then people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
He's blunt.
Yeah.
But he's blunt in the specific kind of way that you know he's right.
Well, he's blunt, but he says it in a very sort of like gentle and well-meaning way, you know?
Like an older brother.
I wouldn't know about that. Do I talk to you like that?
I wouldn't know about that.
Wow.
I said brother.
But I'm your older sibling. Do I like...
No, you're in my older sister.
Whatever.
There's a difference. Yeah, but these semantics... Wait, who's Seman?
Anyway, wait. I want to go back to like the whole believing that, you know, about your existence. Because I think it's really important that something that, as sad as it is and as bad as it is, there's a lot of us out there who hear this, either from people that dislike us, sometimes family members, people that are around us, sometimes would say things like this, whether they mean it as a joke or not, or if they just said it out of anger. Sometimes we do hear, oh, you're nothing, like what is the point of you even being here, like anything along those lines can really have an impact in our growth, because it hurts. And more often than not, we tend to focus on the negative things. We don't focus on the positives. We're always like focused on the bad things. Part of it, I think it's because that's how we have survived as a species. We focus on how to protect ourselves from like the negative things out there. But sometimes we forget to pay attention to the good things. So like you mentioned earlier, David, you said, oh, what is the world gonna do for you, right? A lot of the times we're like, oh, I'm worth nothing. We start comparing ourselves to other people. Well, so and so was way better. Like even I did, like when I read like Robin's backstory, she was 8 when she got her doctorate, and I was like, my immediate thought was like, what have I been doing with my life? I'm already like almost gonna be 32. Probably by the time this podcast comes out, I will be 32. And I still haven't gotten my doctorate. And then I was like, wait. And then I was just kind of like a passing thought, right? But it is like sometimes it is a recurring thought that we have, that whether we heard it once or twice or we hear it constantly, eventually we start believing it ourselves because we heard it so much.
Yeah, it just really wears us out.
So, I mean, sometimes that's why we need a crew, right? To have a crew, because they'll remind us that we're not alone, that whatever either other people are saying or what we are telling ourselves is not true. So yeah, find yourself a crew. Okay, so I mentioned,
Find yourself more One Piece fans.
well, I mean, yeah, because I mean that's essentially what I did when I went off to graduate school. It wasn't necessarily One Piece fans, but I did find like other people who were like super nerdy and geeky just like me, and to this day we're still really good friends because they're just like me, and
They're like me,
yeah,
for real,
and they
for
give
real.
me space to be myself, and they don't judge, and so yeah. And that's a good way. If you don't really know how to make friends, or you have social anxiety or whatever, start reaching out, or like just be a part of like, you know, like fandoms or like fan pages. Sometimes that's how you get to like interact with other people and make friends, and then you slowly start building your crew. Oh wait, you know how, yes, you know how I said something about how Usopp was like, do you guys have like questions about where Sniper Island is? So I think he had like an answer prepped already, because eventually when like he like introduced himself as Sniper King to Luffy and Chopper, they asked him where Sniper Island was, and then his answer was like, it's inside your heart. And I was like, what the heck?
Such poetry from such a mysterious man.
It just, I was like, dude, that's so cringe, man. It was cringe. It was a little
What's wrong
cringe.
with you?
Come on.
It is, like I said, poetry. It is art. Because Sniper Island is inside your heart, man.
Well, clearly I do not understand this style of poetry. Oh, okay. So you actually mentioned this earlier, where like, you were like, oh, favorite trope is when, you know, people are told don't do that, and then they immediately go and do that thing. And like, so
Yeah.
this actually happened where like everybody was talking about like the game plan of what to do once they reach the gates, and then
All right, we're gonna sneak in. Luffy's like, ah!
yeah, no, like he just disappeared, and everyone was like, wait, where is he? And I think they just heard him like just like vaulting over the gates, and then everyone, like, it was like the Frankie family and the Gali Law like company. They were like losing their mind. Why did they do that? And then like the next time, it was like the crew like super calm, kind of like just talking to each other. They're like, it's our fault, we weren't paying attention, like we should have seen this coming. Like, you know.
Like, we've been friends, or we've been together long enough to know that he'd do this. We should have just kept 2 eyes on him.
Yeah, it was. And I think this is like, I think I'm enjoying. I've already said it, but I'm gonna say it again because I really am enjoying it now, because now the crew is over the whole like sort of weird getting to know you stage. They're now like either discovering each other's like deeper, darker secrets, or they're just getting used to how, you know, the habits of each other.
It's starting to feel like a real crew
Yeah,
now.
it is. Yeah.
They're getting more and more in sync with each other. Can't wait for later.
So my next note, it was like 400 what? Casualties? And then like it's like just Luffy just like casually just beat up like 400 people, and I was like, what the heck? And then the director was like, okay, I don't know if I should talk about him because I'm just gonna get super mad. But the director was like CP9, he just made me so angry every time he opened his stupid mouth. Every time.
Yes, Spandam sucks.
He was just so dumb, so full of himself, and he sucked. He wasn't even a good fighter.
Or a good tactician. He just threatened people a lot, and that was pretty much it. That's all he could do, because that's all he knows what to do.
And like, if it wasn't just because he was like the director and technically he could tell CP9 what to do, he will have like zero power over them. Because you know that one guy that had like the super firm mouth that looked like an egg? He kind of looked like Humpty Dumpty. Yeah. So that one, he was like assessing everyone's like skill power, and there was like 300, 4. I think he was like what is it? Lucci had like 4,000 like power level or whatever, and then he turns to his director and he's like 9. You have a power level of 9, and then his response was like, "Shut up! I got a sword." And I'm like, okay, Zoro has 3.
Yeah, the guy's a bitch. I like how you immediately went like, yeah, Zoro has 2 more, and he knows how to use them.
Like, he was just so dumb. Like, every time, like, I was like, somebody shut him up. And then, like, no matter, like, he got beat up so many times, and his face was like 3 times its normal size, but he wouldn't shut up. And like, he was just kept saying like dumb things that made no sense. Oh no, David, I had a question here about what do you think compromise means, but we already talked about that. Because I saw the 3-headed guy where like one of the heads was like, oh, he's guilty, and then the other head was like, oh no, let him be free, and the middle one was like, let's just compromise and execute him. And I was like, how is that a compromise?
See, the funny thing about that character is that it's 3 guys in one large jacket.
Bro, when I saw that they split into 3, I was like, oh my god, that's extra weird. Because I was like,
yeah, they're dumb as fuck.
I was like, okay, part of me was like, okay, there's giants in these islands, there's like fish people. Okay, maybe I believe that there is a 3-headed person. And then they split into 3, and they were like, shut up, we're super close. And I'm like, no, you guys are super weird. Like, mega weird. Like, there's a lot of weird people. Like, all of like the Straw Hat crew is weird, but you take the cake, man. Like, you 3 are weird to the extreme.
I'm googling his name real quick.
I think it was something with the B, like no, it wasn't Beckham. Like, there
Baskerville.
You go. Oh, like the Hounds of Baskerville from Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, wait. This happened twice, and I wrote it twice. Because you know how when the train, like, busted into the like, Enies lobby, and everybody was, like, shooting at, like, everyone else. Like, they just fighting, like, immediately started, like, pirates against the Navy. And then there was, like, the old lady and the little kid, and they were both like, oh, we're fragile. Don't shoot us. And then they were like, oh, protect the civilians or whatever. And then later on, they were like, oh, they captured us. We're innocent. Please don't shoot us. I think that was when they were in the boat later on. I just thought that was so funny.
That is hilarious.
Okay, so we have talked about how we really like sort of like the relationship between Zoro and Sanji because they just like, they're like just so sneaky back and forth. Like what I wrote, one of the like one of my favorite things is he was so funny because then Zoro got called a stooge. I forgot who called him a stooge, but it doesn't matter. They call him a stooge, and then Sanji's like, haha, he called you a stooge. And then Zoro's like, dude, he didn't even recognize you. You're like Pirate B. And I was like, oh. I was like,
Damn,
that
the
got him.
disrespect.
That was such a good comeback.
At that point, he was like, at least he recognized
Bro, bro,
me.
bro. Okay, so like I've been like talking about comebacks because I saw a couple of good ones when we watched the live action one, and I've been making fun of like one of my siblings because their comeback is always like, "Oh shut up, you're ugly," right? And then I'm like, dude, that's getting old. You need to like level up your comeback skills. And today is a really good one because I forgot what I said. I just remember the comeback. I said something and then my sibling was like, I don't hear peasants, and I was like, oh, that was such a good comeback. I was like, yeah, point to you. Also, I'm really horrible at comebacks. Please don't tell any of my siblings, including David. So if you could write some of the good comebacks you usually use with your siblings or with your friends, please write them in the comments because I need ideas. I'm like I'm drowning here. Like
Write as many as you can because she won't remember any
I'm
of them.
gonna start I'm gonna start carrying a notebook with me with just like comebacks. Oh, that reminds me. For one, this was years ago for like a company like gift exchange for Christmas. We did like I think it was a gift exchange, and I ended up with this like Shakespeare insults book, where like it's like sort of like divided into three sections, and then you just flip the tabs over to like a random page, and it's like different Shakespearean words, and then so you can just kind of like they come up with an insult. So I'm gonna start doing that with like all of the comments that you guys put in there because I need that. I'm horrible at comebacks. So I've decided that maybe we should talk about the idiot director because sadly, I feel like we can all relate to not only CP9 but everyone who's around the director because there is a person usually in our life who is very incompetent, but they believe in themselves so much that they have sort of like a series of behaviors that are very similar to the ones that we saw that director do, where he had no power but he wanted to have that power, so he made up lies. He just backstabbed anyone that was around him in order to like climb the ranks. And anytime he wanted to feel more powerful or like he was better than other people, there was a lot of insults. There was a lot of what you call it, like
Threats?
not only threats but and threats, insults, and a lot of like gaslighting, like so much gaslighting left and right. Like, oh, you have to listen to me because I'm so and so. There's like a lot of like a lot of like pushing his power around, try to make himself like sound or like feel tough. And there's like a lot to like with people like this. Is very hard to have a discussion, a civilized discussion or a conversation, because oftentimes they just listen to what they want to listen to. They have selective hearing. If you say something that goes with their agenda, they'll just like clutch onto that and ignore everything else you've said. So it's really hard to have a conversation with a person who's like that. And like, yeah, you can see like the ego is like so inflated because their self-esteem is so low. They don't actually believe in themselves. Like, it's all sort of like a front that they put up. And it can be very draining to work for or with a person who's kind of like this. Have you ever experienced that, David? Like at work or anywhere else?
No, I don't think I've had to work with someone like that before. But then again, my memory is shoddy and I don't quite like remembering annoying people or people that are just absolutely annoying to me. I'm trying to think of like back to my days where I used to work at Mickey D's or McDonald's.
Well, a
But
lot of your
no,
superiors were like super, like younger than you, right? Like 17 or
no,
something.
no. When I started, all my superiors were in fact older than
Oh
me
yeah.
by quite a bit, like 5 or more years. Um, but no, yeah, I can't really think of someone like that. But then again, I did not like I wasn't the person that would go to them or they won't go to me because I was always like the worker that always did his job and I was just kind of there. I wasn't outstanding is what I'm trying to say. Or standing out.
Were you standing inside? Were you in standing?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So like if you can't really think of anything, and I don't want to turn this into like a full-on like therapy session or like educational thing, because it's supposed to be more about like geeking out and just pointing out here and there, talking about like some mental health things, but it can be quite draining. So just make sure you're taking care of yourself if you do have to work or live with, because we can't pick and choose our family, so it can be quite draining. So make sure that you are setting firm boundaries when you're around this person and that you're taking care of your own mental health, because that's very important. So my next note is just Luffy's just like a typical like anime protagonist, because his skills just immediately level up whenever his friends are in danger.
What? Didn't you hear him say that he was working on these things?
Yeah, but still.
For him, it's more like he thinks about it. He kind of works through the logistics in his head and then he tries it immediately. And by that, I mean when he's fighting, he tries it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, well, then shoot.
So, okay, I have lots of questions and I don't know which one to start with, because part of like one of my notes that I wrote, it's like I think I would just suck. Like I think I've talked about how I'm a pacifist and I really actually want to fight anybody. So if I lived in this world, I'd just probably be like a peasant off somewhere, like not actually being a pirate, because that would be scary to me. Maybe I would talk to pirates, but not actually like be a pirate, because that's scary. And I don't actually want to fight or train to be a fighter or any of that stuff. Um, but fuck, I lost my train of thought.
L O L O
Oh,
L
but
O
like I
L
feel
O
like a
L.
lot of these like level ups that the characters have, they're very science based. They're very like, oh, the centripetal force is going on this side, so if I go to this side, then it like cancels out. And then I'm like, I would never have thought of that. Like I would be a horrible warrior.
Listen, this is what we in the industry called anime bullshit science. Okay.
But is it? I feel like it is real science.
No, 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 because it doesn't actually work
Well,
like that.
not if two people are fighting, because you know how Sanji has that like that move where his feet turn red. That would never happen.
No, no, his foot doesn't turn red. His foot goes on fire.
Yeah, okay,
It's
that's
fire.
even like less.
His legs
That's
on
even
fire.
less of a thing. But like, I feel like some of the
No, no,
some
but
I feel
friction.
like some of the theory behind it like kind of makes sense. It's just not really physically possible for a human to be able to do that. But these are technically not real humans because they're,
Or
well,
reality
yeah,
to
but
begin with.
still. But I was like, yeah, there's a lot of science and math that goes in it. Like I also saw a lot of it too in like Naruto, where they were like, especially when you got like to higher up levels, when they were like creating techniques or whatever, and like or explaining something, and it was like some sort of like sciencey terms or whatever, and I was like, I don't know, things happen. I don't know. Anyway, point being is that it's hard being a anime protagonist in a, is it shonen? Okay, so my question to you, David,
Yeah.
is what is the dumbest devil fruit power that you know? You don't have to tell me much, just the dumbest devil fruit power.
Hmm. You can become a human jacket. You heard me.
Like the power of the devil fruit will allow you to just
Become my jacket, yeah.
Wow. That's kind of useless.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I have a question. So for the devil fruit power, do you have to eat the whole fruit, or what if you eat a little bit and you eat a little bit?
You only need to eat a little bit.
Oh, so technically, if I found one, we can all share it and have the same power?
No.
Oh.
Whoever eats it first.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I guess that makes sense. Still, because when I was looking at the, what is it, Khalifa and the square nose guy, I was like, they each took a bite, but I can't remember if they like finished eating all of it or not. But then
No, I think it was like one of them finished eating it and they were like, dude, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that?
It's gross. I just have a bunch of like, oh, okay. So one more question.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. I don't think it is. But like, how many gears does Luffy have up to the point that you're at?
Enough.
I guess it is a spoiler. Lame.
It's a super spoiler.
Is it?
Yeah, it's so fucking spoiler you don't even know.
Okay, fine. I was just curious. I know that he has up to 3 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. A lot of the rest of my notes are just like either funny, a lot of funny things that I noticed, or like I guess some questions that I had here and there. I just like when oh no, I forgot who he was fighting, but he was like ready. Oh, it was the bull looking dude with the little
Blue
horns. Yeah, he was fighting him, and like Luffy's like, wait until you see my next level like of skill, and then the guy just like passes out. And
yeah,
then
that guy
like
dies.
yeah, and then Luffy's like, oh.
He's a little disappointed. He's like, oh, I thought you were better.
I mean, it was good because I think he like lost a lot of power. But then he like pulled meat out of his pockets, and I was like, dude, that's kind of gross. There's probably hair and dirt all over that.
Yeah, I can see that. Luffy do be like that.
Oh, and then when I got to the part, okay, I've already talked about how much the director sucks, but they like they were like, oh, we have to take Robin over there to like wherever, so like they're far away and nobody gets her. Or whatever, but then the dumb director is like, no, hold on, let her talk to Luffy because he wanted to know the tea of what was happening in the crew. And I was like, are you serious? He was just like, yeah, I want to know what's happening. And I'm like, okay, dude, David, stop doing whatever because you're not paying attention.
Oh, I'm paying attention.
Yeah, we're not saying anything.
Well, because I got nothing to say. The guy is a dingus, but also a metiche.
But then just agree with me, that's it.
Absolutely, you got it.
That is so sarcastic, I don't believe you no more.
Yeah, that's fair.
So Robin's story kind of reminded me of like Cinderella's story because they like her foster family. They were her aunt and uncle, right?
Yeah, they were aunt and uncle, which is worse, which makes it so much worse.
I know, they didn't even like care about her at all. Well, it was either Cinderella's story or like Harry Potter.
A little bit of both. She is kind of magic. Yeah.
I just kind of want to know how she came across like the devil fruit that she ate, because that wasn't addressed in her backstory. Do you know up to your point, or not yet?
No, honestly, that is still a mystery to this day.
Ah, lame.
We have no idea how she got what she got.
But you know, this kind of, I don't know enough about this because I didn't work with people who were in the foster system, but it happens quite a lot where kids get placed with foster parents, and parents have like a bunch of other foster kids because they're in it just for the money. Yeah,
that's so sad.
It is really sad because they don't really care about the kids. I've come across a lot of like really good parents who like, you know, care for the kids. Maybe they struggle a little bit here and there because they don't know like how to like bond with the kid or how to help them, or they tried everything and it's very frustrating sort of for them. But yeah, it's growing up in the foster system can be really rough because there isn't a lot of understanding about sort of mental health in general. Dude, I work with this one kiddo who was a part of the foster system, and when I was asking him, I was like, "So how come you're with this new family?" And then the kid was like, "I don't know. I just like some lady come to pick me up in school and took me to a different place." And I was like, nobody explained it to him at all. And I was like, no wonder the kid.
What the heck?
Exactly. I was like, no wonder the kid is like acting up. Like, he just basically got kidnapped. He doesn't know any better. He was like 8 or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the system itself. Some of it is like there isn't a lot of people, like the social workers, the case workers are very like understaffed and overwhelmed with other kinds of work. So it's really hard for them to sort of like pay attention to the needs of like one specific child. Or they might not even have the training necessary or how to like explain something to a kid. But I'm like, but this is like really important, you know?
Oh, absolutely. What's up with that? What's up with them?
And it just makes me really, really sad. Hey, I have a question.
Yeah, we
You know that giant? What was his name again? The one that helped Robin.
Jaguar D Soul.
He had a D in his name.
Ye-
So is he
Ye-
related to Luffy?
Not everyone that has a D in their name is related to Luffy.
But I feel like it's either like a class thing or like an inherited thing. I don't know. The D, I mean.
You are really close.
Wait. What do you mean? I thought you said you didn't know what the D meant.
No, we still don't know what the D means. But
Is there like an
the significance of the D, we have a little bit more of an understanding of. So, from what you just said, you are very close to figuring something out
Oh,
that we just got.
okay. Okay. All right. Now I'm like really excited to like keep digging to see if I can actually get it right before I get to the point.
Yeah, let's keep going, bruh.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, we actually talked about this when we recorded our episode when we talked about our ADHD backstories. But you know how the giant taught Robin how to laugh when she was sad and when she
Yeah.
was happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um so it is true because there's studies that say that like if you like start laughing to yourself like really weirdly, then you kind of like actually start laughing because it's so weird, right? And your body would just kind of go into like that mode. But also it can be quite difficult because you've heard, right, of what happens in Japan with like the service industry people.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain it?
No.
Maybe my throat hurts. You need to talk more. This whole time I'm just being like blah 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 blah.
Well, you're gonna have to like kickstart my memory for the service industry people. Which Tamba?
Where like they're forced to like smile because they have to give good customer service, but like they have to force themselves to smile even though they feel sad. So like a lot of people get like really confused about like their emotions, and then like a lot of them experience like profound like depression because of it, because they're constantly.
And not to mention black companies like ugh.
What are black companies?
Oh, you don't know? Black companies are essentially companies that mistreat their workers to such an extent that a lot of them are like suicidal or just very close to it. The thing is, you know, when in Japan there's this thing where once you get hired, they cannot fire you. Of course, this only applies to certain jobs, like certain companies, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't want you anymore, instead of like going like, hey, we don't need you or whatever, and trying to have like some sort of weird compromise with them where they can leave and maybe find somewhere else better, they instead bully the shit out of you indirectly. Like, they don't give you any good work to do, and any work that you do get is like really, really bad, and it just sucks so bad. You are like mistreated psychologically a lot of the times until you quit. or you're just basically forced to work like if you were in a sweatshop or something like that. It's really fucked up.
I've heard about that, about like all that bullying that goes on. I just didn't know that the companies were called black companies.
Yeah, they're black companies because what they are doing is absolutely not legal in any way, shape, or form.
It's just one of those things that just gets overlooked by people by everyone basically, huh? Because we know it's happening.
It gets overlooked by the government, everybody knows about it, and the desperate usually flock to it because, again, they are desperate. And that's just sad.
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes you just enter this sort of like survival mode loop that you're like, hey, I need to put food on the table, and if this is what it takes, this is what it takes. And it's really hard, like just hearing all those things about how, you know, I'm pretty sure there's like, oh, you're good for nothing, you know, like all that, like I guess verbal bullying that happens. Even if there is no verbal thing, you can still notice when people give you the side eye or when people ignore you, things like that can be really harmful. And then like looking at other options, it can be really hard. I imagine it's also like really difficult in like big cities, kind of like Tokyo, where like there's maybe not a lot of jobs around for everyone, or it's really difficult to get new jobs since the whole policy of like nobody gets fired kind of thing.
Yeah.
That sucks. But yeah, I mean, like it's a lot like masking, right? Like where you're just pretending to be someone you're not. You gave, like when we recorded the ADHD one, you gave a really good example because like even your tone of voice changed when you were like masking, and then I was like, yeah, it's really hard. I hate that.
It sucks so bad. What is it? Actors get to turn it off. We, depending on our environment, we don't get the chance to.
That's true. And actors get paid for it. We don't. I mean, I don't want to go into detail because we're already like almost at 2 hours, and I still have like a bunch of things that I want to talk about. So, but if you're interested in like learning more, you can check out our ADHD episode where we talk about that. Okay, so Robin's backstory, I've talked about before how like I can feel Robin because she's an archaeologist, and I'm like, I love history. At one point I wanted to be an archaeologist, and then there is this one thing, like the archaeologist guy dude was like the name of the civilization that the world government eliminated was called, and then he died because they shot him. Do we eventually get to know the name of that place or that kingdom?
Wait, repeat yourself?
You're not, stop with Twitter. David is ADHDing so hard right now.
Listen, I have to get my dopamine one way or another.
Bro, where's your fidgets? Let me throw you this one.
No, I got it.
No, because I remember like when all the archaeologists got like taken out of like the library. Bro, that library was so sweet. I was like, nice.
Oh yeah, the Tree of Knowledge in Ohara?
Yeah. So when they all got taken out, the guy was like, hey, let me just talk to your superior because we need to share the knowledge that we figured out so far about the poneglyphs.
Yeah.
And he was describing like that the world government basically just ended this kingdom because that kingdom was sort of like the one kingdom, I guess, that was that could prevent the world government from becoming the world government. And then he was like, oh, and the name of the kingdom was, and then the guy shot him. So he didn't get to say. Do we eventually get to know the name of the kingdom?
Yes.
Soon?
No.
Because I'm like, that was like so interesting. I want to know. That's the whole conspiracy thing.
Yeah, I know, right? That's how he gets you. He goes like, oh, what's this mystery? 100,000 episodes later, here it is. We got half an answer. And you're like, come on, man. A little bit more, por favor.
So, I don't know. I was really sad when the guy got killed. Like, out of like, the shot came out of nowhere. And then I was like, bro, he was just a scholar. He was just a nerd, man. Like, nerds. Okay, no, yeah, nerds, we are powerful. Because then that reminded me of, like, that one time. I don't really know all the details, but it was when, I think it was the Russians, like, closed or like made the fan fiction websites like not work, and within 24 hours like all the nerds that use those like sites like immediately found out that it was the Russians and like gathered all the
yeah.
proof. So I was gonna be like, oh, nerds are not dangerous, and I was like, yeah, we can be. You mess with the things we love, so yeah. It just made me like really sad every time I hear about like the library of Alexandria, like how everything got burned. Like it just makes me sad, man, because it's exactly what happened in this library, man.
Yeah.
Because it just makes me sad about like all the knowledge that's lost. So lately I've been listening to a lot of like YouTube videos that talk about like ingenious inventions from like past civilizations, right? And there's like a bunch, because we're like, oh, it was quite recent that we started like improving, I guess, as a society and like creating all kinds of like really cool stuff. But that's not true. Like it's been happening for like thousands and thousands of years. We just don't have the proof because those civilizations like sort of like ended. Because like, what was it, the Mayans, they studied a lot of like the sky, wait, astronomy, the sky. They studied the sky and the stars.
Their math was basically almost unparalleled, to the point where they were able to calculate celestial events and take that into consideration when building their pyramids. So during certain times of days, light will go through certain fixtures and then just kind of like point at like a calendar on the floor or something like that, and it was just insane. And not only that, they have certain areas where the acoustics are insane.
The Maya?
Yeah. There was this one place where basically one person could stand and everybody else, like a couple thousand people, would be surrounding him, right? And he would just shout, not even as hard as he could. He would just basically project his voice as best as he could, and everybody could hear him. There was a story where a guy was being taken through a tour through one of those areas, right? And the tour guide was like, "You see that spot over there? Like a little bit over there in that hill?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, go stand over there." And the guy just walks over there for like a hot, a couple seconds, and then he ends up in the spot where he is told. And the guy speaks in a normal voice, the tour guide, and the other guy could hear him despite like their great distance. Like he could hear him as if the guy was right next to him. The acoustics are insane.
That reminds me, there was another civilization that just kind of came up with something kind of similar, but it was like an underground sort of like symphony thing, that like the noise that it created was like really, really good, because like it was like a series of tunnels that were sort of designed to capture like the best sort of like acoustics. But that was off, I forgot the name of the place, but it's off the coast of Italy somewhere.
Oh
Yeah. And like I saw one where they were like talking about like the Chinese inventions. Like they, like somebody like way back in the day like invented like a way to like detect earthquakes.
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, see, this is what we need to like save the books. I know there was like, how we have been in a drought here in California for a long time, but then this year we got like a lot of rain, and like in the area that we lived in, it's a very agricultural place, and there's a lot of canals like everywhere, like to feed water to the different I was gonna say plantations. It's not plantations. What's the correct word, David? Fields of produce, whatever they're planting there. Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that's completely different words.
You know what I meant.
Probably my fault for not telling you the right one.
No, that's
Shame on
no.
me.
Anyway, for the agriculture, need water.
Yeah.
But I think because California has been in a drought so much, the company that owns the made the canal and sort of owns the water that gets distributed, didn't necessarily keep up with the maintenance of the canals. So there was a lot of places that got flooded with water.
Yep, they basically drowned.
Was it that bad? I mean,
Yeah, a lot of houses were lost to the point that it was just ridiculous.
well, I know there were like a lot of people were like evacuated because like it was like I don't know like how high, like if it was like completely flooded or just like the houses, like the water came inside. I don't know how bad.
No. It was completely flooded, like up to almost to the roof.
Oh really?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was really
oh
bad.
yeah, that was really bad. And then so like the area where or the city where David and I live was at risk of being flooded, and then so there are several sort of like back roads that even to this day they're still like closed off because it's still like the damage from the flooding is still there. But like one of my main concerns was like because my parents were like we're trying to like figure out like okay if we get evacuated from the area like where are we gonna go, what are we gonna do, what are we gonna take. And I was like what the most important thing like for me like everything is sort of like what is it material things, but like I was like but I really want my computer because that's like that's my baby, you know. And I was like just my computer. And then I was like and then I looked around my room to try to figure out like if there was anything else that I wanted to take. And then I saw all of my books that were kind of like at floor level, and I was like I need to do something with my books. I need to take all of my books. I can't just keep my books here.
I can fit the like all of my shit in my car real quick.
I'm pretty sure I can fit all my books in my car too.
No, you can't.
I mean if
I have seen the amount of books that you have, ma'am. You cannot. I am so sorry. You're gonna lose like 75% of your books.
no, I most of them are like in storage right now. So
Yeah, and where is storage? Ground floor.
well I thought about putting them like higher up so they wouldn't. Anyway, it was
I
really
didn't think
sad
so.
for me to see the library burn, but I was really happy because okay, so we were watching this part too because we got the episode that David wanted me to see was Robin's backstory. So we did get to see when the scholars were like trying to save all the books, and then they basically just dumped them in this lake, and it was like thousands and thousands of books just in this lake. And then my nerdy little heart was like wait, did someone find them? Like did someone collect the books to read them, or did they just like burn them again? I was so concerned about the books.
You do get a resolution to that.
Oh really? It comes back
Yeah.
again?
Yeah, it is referenced again. Yeah,
Oh nice. Hopefully the books get saved.
I'm not gonna answer that, but that doesn't mean it's a negative thing.
Okay, I have an interesting question because I'm interested.
Yeah.
What's your favorite like ancient sort of like invention or like engineering something? Good luck trying to figure out what I meant.
The floating city that the I want to say Aztecs.
Oh, that?
You know the one that I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The one where they build an entire city on top of a lake.
yeah. I mean, at this point, it's not really a lake anymore, but there's still a place, Xochimilco.
Yeah, but you get the point.
I've been there. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's insane, right?
It's like the houses there are like so beautiful. I love flowers and stuff. Like I don't know how to like I don't have a green thumb. I have like a black thumb because I forget to water them. But like all the flowers, all the houses there were like incredibly like they have so many flowers and like greenery and stuff. It was really beautiful to pass by there. I think it was the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, I would say would be my favorite. We don't actually know how it was, but it was like this method that the Babylonians
Babylonians? That sounds about right.
invented, and I can't think of how it is, but it was like this really cool system where like somehow the water went up instead of going down.
It sounds like they had, I think it's called an auger.
What's that?
It's kind of like a drill where you have that you put it like in a canal or something like that, and it is obviously going down and dipping into like the waters, right? And because the drill, the way that it spins, it brings up the water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's I don't know how they did it back in the day. Are you talking about like something like an invention that's relatively recently used, or?
No, this is ancient,
Oh,
dude.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is old.
It
tech.
might be that. I just like
Because right now we have pumps. We don't need that
The thing.
drilly thingy auger looking motherfucker.
okay. So I will say that's my favorite invention. Let us know what yours is, because I would love to know. Okay. So, dude, I was like so sad when Robin was like, "Mom, I just wanted to like hold your hand and walk around with you."
Oh my god.
That I was like, that is such like a simple thing, you know, but like because like she didn't really remember the mom because the mom left for like 5 years or something when she was like really
Yeah.
little, so she didn't really remember. And she would look at like all the kids walking around with their parents, and I was like, I just wanted to hold your hand and go places, and I was like, oh, so cute.
It made me sad all day, every day.
So there was this one thing. I wrote a quote that Robin's mom said, which is, "You don't even question the law." But I don't know who she's talking about or who she was talking to at that time. It might have been what's that giant's name again?
Saul?
Yeah, it might have been him.
Probably.
And like, I just wanted to like put my 2 cents out there, which I mean, at this point is like we're just like talking around in circles because I think I said this like a bunch of times, but we need to, as a society, it's okay for us to like progress into like different things. And it kind of starts by questioning things. You know, like there's a lot of things that sometimes we get so comfortable with how sort of like the status quo of things that we don't question things. But we need to start questioning everything, everyone.
Yeah, always ask the most simplest question of who benefits from this? And it usually leads to rich people. And that makes me sad because I don't like rich people. And rich people don't like me. So fuck them.
I mean, yeah, but like those are things that we need to be aware of because it's not really something that they teach you at school, sadly. So we always have to be like curious and questioning about what's going on to bring about progress and improvement in our society, because otherwise we're not gonna be able to move forward. I really like this quote that Shuri said. Shuri said in like the first Black Panther movie. I think she wanted to work on the Okoye beads. I forgot what they're called. And then she,
Yeah, the magic science.
yeah,
Enies. Yeah.
and she said, just because it works doesn't mean that it can be improved. And I'm like, exactly. And I'm like, just because it works doesn't mean that there can be a better, easier way to do things. So it's okay to invite like imagination and creativity into like, especially the workplace. I feel like especially here in America, we need a lot more of that. Because have we talked about this in the podcast? I don't remember, but I know we had a conversation before about how people who are really creative normally have a really hard time working in companies that are very strict in terms of how things should be done. And then so they move away from those companies and end up creating their own sort of businesses. And then those companies sort of like end up failing or they don't progress because the people who are very creative and would like bring about that change and improvement that's needed get driven away.
Yeah. Because incompetent people are pushed towards the top until they are just absolutely not suited for the job that they have. And of course, they don't even know what they're doing, and because they don't know what they're doing, they'll just do whatever their boss's boss tells them to do. And then they'll just fuck it up.
I mean, we kind of saw that with like Helmepo, right?
Oh yeah.
He was like my dad, and then like his dad wasn't the greatest either, like, or the most competent person, and Helmepo was for sure not it. But imagine if like Zoro didn't happen to be there, and neither did Luffy. Like it would have, like he would have just like moved up the ranks really fast because of who his dad is. No, screw that. We saw it recently with what's the one guy, the guy we hate, incompetent guy.
Spandam?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Spandam. Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
that
like
guy.
he was like, my dad did this and that, and then he was like the most incompetent person, and all he did was like screw people over and to get to the top. Ugh. But yeah, it does happen often. Just sad. So I think Robin did say when she was talking to Luffy, she said, "Leave me alone, because like you guys are gonna eventually like abandon me, and I don't want to go through that, right? Because you're gonna realize that I bring too much trouble for you, so you're gonna abandon me. So like just let me not deal with this, and I'd rather die, right, than have that happen." Because she probably like we saw like little snippets of how like it happened to her over and over again, like people that like she saw as like helping her, like with a job or like giving her shelter and whatever, and then eventually they just turned her in because like she was worth a lot of berry for her bounty. um so she was like setting boundaries for herself right there. I know I talked about like setting
Hmm.
boundaries and that can be a healthy thing, but also we have to pay attention to what kind of boundaries we're setting, because in this situation, it was she was trying to protect herself by running away from the problem. She wasn't actually confronting the situation or like talking about the situation or like
Nor that she could, considering she was a literal child at the
no, I
time.
meant when she was trying to set the boundaries with the crew.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't until Luffy like continuously insisted on providing her with like a space to voice what she actually wanted that she actually like said that she didn't want to die, that she wanted to live. um and so I really like that, and I really like because so when we watched that episode, Luffy said, I want to hear you say that you want to live. But I think in the manga, the way I remembered it, he said there's something I you haven't said yet. He kind of like guided her, and then she just said it like on her own, which I like that way better. Because he just gave her the hint of like, this is a safe space. You can say whatever it is on your mind, and we're gonna be good with it. In fact, we expect it. But it's always this thing. I don't know if he necessarily did it with like the boys, but I know he did it with Nami, and he did it with Robin, where he was always like, okay, I want to help. And he was kind of like basically carrying around this massive sign saying, hey, I'll help you if you need help. You just have to say it. I'll help you. And then eventually they did ask for his help. But it wasn't until they asked that he like acted. You know, he waited to get their permission before he acted. So I really, really like that. Did he do that with the boys, or am I just kind of like, I don't think he did that with the boys.
No, he really didn't do it with them. He kind of did it with Chopper a little bit. He did that with Chopper a little bit because he just basically reminded Chopper's like, hey, there are like good and bad people in this world, and I am not either of them. I am just myself, and if you like me, come on.
So there was like what you're trying to say is that there was a lot more leading for Chopper than it was for the other crew members. I feel like for Zoro it was like relatively easy, right?
Yeah, I know,
And
right?
all
Yeah, no, for Zoro, it honestly did feel like
he didn't have to try all
he
the
really
hard.
didn't need that much
Yeah.
help. But what he did needed was a direction. Because he was aimless for a long time. He was just wandering around and picking fights essentially. And what was the most convenient was taking in some bounties. Therefore, the pirate hunter Zoro. But nowadays, he's a pirate himself. And as soon as he joined Luffy, a couple days later, he meets Mihawk. And not uh, and after that, he's basically like, all right, I picked the correct person to follow. Because if I did not follow this man, I would have never met Mihawk. So no matter where Luffy goes, Zoro's gonna come with him because he knows he can get stronger, and if he can get stronger, he probably will be able to reach his dream. And helping Luffy is just a part of his
I
dream now.
don't know if this is like part of like Zoro's personality, or if it's his age, or just I don't know. But he seems to be more in tune with other people. Like he is very good at reading in between the lines kind of thing, and like sort of like assessing whether or not that person is a good person. Because I feel like everyone else was kind of like needed a little bit more of a push from Luffy to be like, hey, I'm a good guy, you should join my crew because we're, help you with your dream kind of thing. But Zoro was almost immediately he was like, yeah, this person's good. I'll see if like this, if it works out. If not, he can always like bounce. But like
Yeah.
in every like sort of like scenario, it was like his idea of like, oh, I made the right choice by following Luffy just kind of kept getting reinforced.
Yeah, basically. Because yeah. he got all kinds of challenges that normally he would have never faced. And now that he can get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's basically what he wants to do.
Yeah. So back to my notes. um so when like I think it's the old lady that ends up crashing like the no, she ends up like helping them cross like a bridge or something that got destroyed. So like everyone that's like on board of the train just sort of like get smacked into like a different part of like the inner part of the building of Enies lobby, and then Frankie gets up and then he's like normal, because then Luffy just immediately bounces back from that crash and then like starts talking, and then Frankie's like, normal people don't do that, like they just don't bounce back. And then the next panel is immediately like the whole crew and they're like, yeah, they're like all beat up from having to like fight people and just like crashed into like a freaking building, and then they were like, yeah, we're ready to go, let's go. And I'm like, yeah, they're not normal. I think this whole time I was like, because we get Frankie's point of view a lot, I feel like, in this, and
Yeah,
then he
pretty
just
much
gets
during
like, he
the,
points out things
those
that are
parts.
weird, and I'm like, oh, because I love, again, I said it in like a different podcast episode, but I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm so far into the fandom that I don't even question the fact that like Luffy and Zoro were able to like separate water with their techniques, and Zoro just cut like 2 trains in half with his swords for some, I don't know, like just that all just makes sense, right? But then like now Frankie was the normal person pointing out how not normal they were, and I was like, oh, he's right, this isn't normal, like normal people don't do that, because they're just
Yeah, these motherfuckers are whack. They are an insane group because they follow an insane man.
yeah. So you know how the wait, at the end of the thing, most of the CP9 people had some sort of like devil fruit power, right? Because 2 of them
Yeah.
ate it. But it was like always, well, except for the girl. The girl had like the bubble power. And she just like would turn into a sheep. Like she could choose anything, but she chose like an animal, like a sheep. And all the other, like all the guys, they transform into some sort of animal. So my question to you, because it was like really funny, because then when the guy transformed into a giraffe, Sarah was like, "That's super lame," and the guy was all
And then
offended.
Kaku was like, I really love
Yeah,
giraffes.
he was like all offended. He's like, "I love giraffes." So I was like, okay, so if you had an opportunity to choose what kind of, I guess, animal power the devil fruit gave you, what animal would you choose?
I would choose the water bear.
Water bear?
Yeah.
What's a water bear?
I forgot what's its fancy name, but it's a microscopic creature that can survive fucking anything, from the coldness of space to the deepest of oceans to like just fire or lava.
Dude,
Those motherfuckers are indestructible.
of course I was gonna choose like some really cute creature that I really like, right? But then as you were saying that, I was like, dude, what if I just turn into like, I forgot the name of it, but it's that shrimp that like punches, and like you punch.
Oh, the
Yes,
pistol
like
shrimp?
it's so powerful, but it's like super
Yeah.
tiny, and I was like, I will be like One Punch Man if I turn into that shrimp,
Oh fuck yeah, you will.
and then I'll become a pirate. Because then I didn't have to train or anything. I was just like punch people and like done. One and done. That's it. So there is this one scene where like, or like, I guess panel, because I didn't actually see it. But Sanji's fighting Khalifa. And then Khalifa hits him in the royal jewels. Wait,
Ooh,
what is it called? Is it the royal jewels or the family jewels? Oh,
The family jewels.
And in my head I was like, bro, you fight with your feet and your stance is always like wide open. But then it got me thinking, is it like a manly thing where it's like an unspoken rule to never hit each other in the family jewels? when
Well, yeah,
fighting.
that's why it's called a low blow. It's like, come on, man, that is a cheap shot.
Yeah, bro, but like
You're
you're fighting
really that
pirates,
like sucky.
evil pirates.
But
You're fighting pirates, evil pirates.
yeah, but still, you know, you have a pride to you. If you go that low, like, how are you gonna improve your skills? How are you gonna show that you are literally better than
Bro,
them?
screw skills. It's all about survival, man. You do what you have to.
Oh no, Nami does it all the fucking time.
Yeah, but she doesn't count because she's almost doing it like a sibling kind of thing.
But no, not to them, to the enemy.
What did you think of Sanji's how do you say it? Chivalry? Chivalry. How do you
Chivalry.
say? Chivalry?
Chivalry?
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Yeah,
Like
I
where
think
he
that's
was
what you
like
said.
like flat out refused to fight the girl.
I mean, I'm fine with it because it's like his code, and if he sticks to it, he sticks to it. Who am I to tell him
Well, but
otherwise?
like,
You know?
do you think he would have like changed his mind if like it was like completely necessary for him to like fight to protect
But
like
that would
like
go
a crewmate?
completely and utterly against his character, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because Sanji is an all-in type of
Uh-huh.
character. Yeah. So if he is, what is it? If he wants to learn about food, he is all in. If he wants to learn about fighting, he is all in. And if he is taught, hey, never harm a woman, he is all in. And he will stick to it, because what's worse than breaking his code is making Zeph disappointed in him.
I
And
just
again, like,
love the
Zeph is like
relationship
his
he
father
has
figure.
with Seth so much.
I know,
Wait,
right?
I have a question. Do we ever get to
Yeah.
find out like more of the backstory of Sanji? Like not like before he met Seth. I mean, like with his parents and stuff.
Oh, yeah, kind of.
Cause I just remember that one time where we like drove to San Diego and the whole time you were just telling me about One Piece. I only
Yeah.
remember that you said something about like one of the characters had like a siblings and he was number 3. So is it Sanji that had other siblings and that's why he got his name San? Because that's 3 in Japanese, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
all I
think so,
remember
yeah.
for like the whole spiel for like you just talked about One Piece for 5 hours and that's the only thing I remember.
God damn it, past me.
Well, like I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it's a big spoiler, is it?
Nah.
Exactly. I think you did give me like huge spoilers, but that's the only thing I remember. So I think that's good. I think we're good. You know when like Frankie and like the zipper mouth guy start fighting? They're basically just doing the slap challenge because they're like, oh, that doesn't hurt. And then they just kept like slapping each other in the face. And they were like, no, my thing's stronger. And they were just like slapping each other.
Yeah, they're so fucking dumb.
That's also when like I really like the fact that like Frankie's hairstyle would change and his attitude would change depending on what he was given. And then Chopper was like, here, vegetable juice. And he's like, no, I need sugary things. And then he's like, here, how about some tea? And then he's like, oh, why don't we just stop for some tea?
He just became like British for a
Yeah.
bit.
No, but it was just so funny because like I guess it was extra funny for me because a few days ago I saw this thing on, I think it was a part from like a Batman or Justice League. I'm not really sure what it was from, but it was Alfred talking to, oh, what's that girl with the pigtails?
Girl with
Yeah,
pigtails.
DC, the one that liked Joker.
Oh,
Yeah,
Harley Quinn.
was fighting with.
It's from the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Oh yeah,
I know the clip that you're talking about, yeah.
yeah, and wait, I sent it to you, didn't I?
I think so, yeah, through TikTok.
Because Alfred was like, oh, be a bitch. And then like the acronym, like he had an acronym and part of the acronym was like actually good things. So like, you know, take a breath, look at your options and like have some tea. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm going to start using that in therapy too. This is actually really good. And it's funny because, you know, the acronym. So yeah, this was extra funny to me. That time, do you remember that time where Zoro, like, you know how Zoro and Usopp got handcuffed together? And then at one
Yeah.
point, Zoro was like, "You're my sword now." Like, keep that stance. And he just, like,
He was like,
lifted Usopp.
hold my arm really steady. You are now my sword.
Okay, so I was gonna do this one thing where I explained something that we do in psychology, but, like, we're, like, already at 2 hours and I still have a lot to talk about. So if you guys want, maybe I can do it, like, at a different thing, or, like, I don't know, do something with it. But I'm not, like, an expert in this because I know sort of, like, the basics of it. But at one point, Chopper is talking to someone, and then he says the word, he uses the word biofeedback, and that is, like, an actual word that like an actual technique that we use, like, in psychology. And so the premise, like, I wanted to go into, like, more detail talking about that, but, like, I didn't get a lot of time to research because I forgot about it until I read this note. But essentially it's sort of like the therapist is trying to show you sort of how your body is reacting to, like, deep breathing and, like, to certain movements and stuff like that. So it there's that biofeedback, right? Like, it gives you, like, immediate feedback to what it is that you're doing. And then so the aim is to eventually get you to a place where you're able to do on your own, because you can recognize the benefits of doing, like, let's say, breathing techniques to calm yourself, or to, like, do all the pain. It's often used in hospitals primarily. But yeah, that is a legit thing that we use in psychology. So just wanted to sort of mention that.
That sounds interesting.
Bro,
Yeah.
Chopper
Yeah.
got freaking huge.
Yeah, monster point. Let's go.
Bro, it was, like, so cool. Like, just the way that Oda drew him too, because he looked, like, massive, but he was still kind of, like, cute. But the shading was, like, done in such a way where he looked menacing.
monstrous.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
really cool.
And I love that it's one of those things where he cannot control it, and not only that, it only appears after eating 3 Rumble Balls.
Does he eventually, like, get to the point where he is controlling it, or, like, does the crew, like, learn a way to do it, kind of like the Avengers learn how to calm down the Hulk by singing that song?
Something like that.
Because, like, Frankie was, like, he was such, like, he was the normal character throughout the whole thing, and then he was, like,
The cyborg was the
he was the
normal
most
one.
human
Yeah.
out of all of them. Because he was, like, so worried. He's like, I can't believe your crew doesn't know how to calm you down. But, like, the crew didn't know this was a thing that could happen to Chopper, you know?
Yeah, basically. They were like, "Hey, yeah, we don't fucking know. This is new to us too, bruh. You saw it when we did."
Yeah. I just, like, again, just calling out that guy, so dumb, the director of CP9, where he, like, accidentally triggered the booster call and then he projected his whole entire plan to the island. I was like,
Yeah, because he's a
and I
fucking
was like,
idiot.
the incompetence, like, his incompetence, like, knew no bounds, man. I was like, I can't believe it. Ain't nobody got time for that, man. So dumb.
He's such a fucking idiot, dude. At this point, it's just embarrassing that that he has the position that he has.
From the beginning, he was, like, so incompetent.
But doesn't that show how fucking corrupt the Marines are in such a systemic level too? Because Baskerville, you know, they're
3 guys?
yeah, the 3-headed judge. When you go to Ian's lobby, you face him. One head goes like, "Hey, let them go." The other one is like, "Hey, imprison them forever," and the other one's like, "Execution." And whoever wins the argument, that's what they're gonna pass. But immediately he was like, "Hey, execute everybody," or like imprison everybody, just like willy-nilly, like that. He didn't really think about anything. He just passed on the
There was, like, no
judgment real
fairness or,
quick.
like, following the law. They were just, like, just
Absolutely
hang
not.
everybody.
That's how fucking corrupt the Marines really are. And Django got out by, like, just dancing with them. And because they all liked him, they were like, "All right, he can
Oh, I
go, I guess."
remember that. Like, he just got freed by, like, just
Yeah.
dancing. But did he make
Yeah.
it to Enies lobby?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't really remember that part. So I think there was this one time where like Usopp got beat up by like one of the CP39 people. No, I
Yeah.
keep saying CP39, but it's CP9. That's it.
Yeah, you're thinking of
Oh,
C3PO.
probably. um, yeah, but then like he's about to like get killed, and then like Sanji shows up and kicks the heck out of the guy, and then like there is this one single thing where like Zoro just looks like a proud papa that he showed up. Like he just, I was like, oh, he just looks so proud of like Sanji showing up to help.
Look at my crew. This is what
Like
I've
I
done.
think like in the previous episode I talked about how like you know the old conductor lady, she was like freaking goals because she was just drinking and she said like we're
Yeah.
all gonna die. And then like she just kept saying, oh, we're innocent, we're bystanders, we don't know, please help us, after like she like broke the law trying to help the pirates do all this stuff. But like the kid and the grandma lady, they were like fairy godmothers because they just like disappeared for a while and then would like reappear whenever one of the crew members like needed help or guidance. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that was pretty cool.
They were such G's throughout
Dude,
the
for
entire
real, especially
thing.
like the little girl, like the lady I can kind of understand because she's like an old lady, but like the little kid was like, yeah, I don't know, she's just really good. I loved her.
She just went right with the flow.
Yeah. Hey, so since you watched the anime first, I forgot to ask you earlier, but since you watched the anime first, when you started reading the manga, did you start reading it in the voices of the characters that you watched in the manga?
Yeah. From what I've heard them as is how I read them. And then sometimes I'd hear them in Japanese because, you know,
Like the moves and stuff?
that's how I'm kind of watching them nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know the gates of justice? That kind of reminded me. What are in Justice League? What are the gates that lead to the underworld? What's the name? Hades? No, it wasn't
Oh.
Hades. I mean, Hades is the world ender god, but
No, I think it is like the gates to Hades, and it's guarded by
no.
Cerberus.
What's the name of hell for them? No,
Hades.
Tartarus.
Or no, that's not
No,
hell.
but at that
That's just
yeah, but
a
that's what I was
prison.
thinking of. The gates of Tartarus. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of what he reminded me of. Yeah.
Tartarus.
When like the Frankie family and like all the other people that were helping, including the giants, when they were trying to flee the island because of the booster call,
Yeah.
they were like all riding on the giant, and then they were like, "You have to run faster! Come on, do it!" And then when it was revealed, they were actually not doing anything, just sitting on the giants, and the giants like, "Come on, you guys are even doing nothing." And I was like, "We're encouraging you! Come on, run faster!" And I was like, "That would be me."
It's like, bro, we are giving you the energy to run faster. So run
Bro, I'll
faster.
be like
quick.
in the silence being like, "Don't be a wimp, Sanji! Fight! Kick his ass!" And like not really do anything myself.
Honestly, that's what Nami does every once in a
But
while.
like she was actually really cool because she like had a lot of like really cool moves, and she actually defeated the Khalifa, and then she actually defeated a couple of people in this one. So she was like her own sort of like warrior in this one. Because before she was basically like that. She was sort of like on the sidelines, but this time she was all like, nah, she showed up.
She stepped up. She stepped up real
Yeah,
good.
she totally did. You know how the whole thing is supposed to be like 30 minutes basically? Like when the booster call sounded to like everything, it's supposed to be like until the ships got there. It was like a 30-minute thing, but to me it felt like they were there for like 3 hours. Because he kept
No, right? It's because a lot of the action is happening around the same time, but you still have to go through
yeah,
it.
because he kept switching like battlefields, I guess.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
perspectives. Say, all right, let's go back to this guy. Oh, he won. Let's go back to this other fight, and they're in the middle of it, and then you just switch it up again.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I think Frankie was like running for most of the thing, like trying to like deliver the keys, and I was like, run, bro, run. And I was like getting all anxious because then he kept moving to like a different fight, and I was like, where's Frankie with the keys?
It's like, he has the keys. They can finally get off the cuffs, and they can give them to Robert. Your mic can probably pick that up. Oh no.
So I think I asked you this earlier, but I was like, where's that the conductor grandma lady getting all the bottles of wine from? Like every single shot
Yes.
she's just drinking wine, and I'm like, lady, like you finished like 10 bottles already. Like where'd you getting them from?
Yes.
But you know what I was thinking too? I was like, dude, the crew is like really strong, and they like everyone showed up, and everybody kind of like level up their skills and whatnot. But you know who the true MVP of this is? The clothes that they wear, because they just like shrink and enlarge like for whatever purpose that they're needed. Because like when Luffy got like turned into a little kid, like his clothes just got tiny, and I was like, no, that's not how it happens. You know what made me burst out loud though? Like laughing out loud? When they got like when they were in the underground tunnel, and they got like water like got in, and then like Sanji saw the mermaid, and he saw like, I heard tales about this beautiful mermaids with the hair and like so beautiful, and then it was like the old grandma lady. I lost it.
Yeah. Dude, that was so fucking funny when I first saw it. And then he was like so shocked and disappointed. He was like, dude, I'd rather die.
Yeah, he was like, they're supposed to be beautiful or whatever. And the lady's like, yeah, well, when you're young, like your fins separate into like feet or something. So you can like, you know, join.
No, once like they reach
Once
a
they're
certain
30.
age.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and then like later on, like when they were planning like where island they were gonna go to her island, right? The something sea people island or whatever, or fish people island. Yeah.
Fishman Island.
And Sanji was imagining all kinds of beautiful mermaids, and then he turned to look at the grandma, and he saw like, oh, he said like maybe they're gonna be all like that. And the lady busted out a laugh. He's like, yes, there's young beautiful ladies there.
Dude, honestly, it would have been funnier if she kept
I know,
the
right?
ruse.
He was just like worried and like all upset, like dragging his feet the whole time, because he's like, it's just gonna be a bunch of old ladies. Okay, I know I asked you this, but I want to ask you again. When was it ever discussed that Zoro was the first mate?
So, never.
Okay.
That's it. It is just implied, and honestly, apparently, some people took offense to that.
Who did? Like the fans?
Yeah, some fans are like, no, he's not a first mate. Like, no, he's just the strong guy. He's just the second strongest. And I'm like, yeah, but what's his role in the crew, huh?
Well, wait, hold on.
Why is it that they listen to him when Luffy's not
What
there?
is supposed to be the duties of the first mate?
They take control of the ship and of command when Luffy's not there, essentially, and they are like basically the second in command, just in case something happens. And if Luffy tells Zoro to do something, he's going to be the one to essentially execute the plan or whatever.
Well, like part of what I wrote in my notes is that basically Zoro is kind of like the law. Like he's the enforcer of the law.
Yeah, kind of.
Because I really like that scene. I know this is kind of like going back and forth, whatever. But I really like the scene where he was talking to like the crew, and they were like, "Yo, if Usopp comes back, unless the first words out of his mouth are 'I'm sorry,' we can't let him back into the crew." And everyone was like, "But why were you so mean?" But like his reasoning like completely made sense.
Yeah, they were super
Yeah,
solid
because he was like,
reasons.
dude, he just left like on a whim, and if he doesn't listen to the captain, we don't need a crewmate like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes of Zoro, like him putting his foot down and he going like, no, you guys do not understand. The next, like after this, it is filled with danger. We cannot take any of this lightly. We have to be a unit to begin with. And Sanji immediately was like, fuck, he's right.
I think Sanji is one of those people that like, I think I said it before, but like he is very like emotional about his like decisions, and I think it's very clear because he's just chasing after the girls the whole time, and about 95% of the things that he does is because there's a pretty girl nearby, or he's
Yeah.
wanting to get someone's attention, some pretty girl's attention. But yeah, I thought but when he's given like reason then he like immediately changes his mind. You know, like if he's like talked to and
he is a reasonable person.
completely. Yeah, I just really thought it was really funny because like the whole time Zoro was like, if he don't listen to the captain, we don't need a shipmate like that. But then he's like, oh, if he don't like respect the captain, and but then the whole entire time he was just pulling on like yeah, you're just like shaking it back and forth, like zero respect. But then he was talking about like, you need to respect the captain.
Yeah, but like doing that is something that Luffy doesn't mind. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that
Well, it's
Zoro's
because
doing
it's like a
it,
brotherly thing, you know? Like, yeah.
Yeah. But if Zoro was to seriously disrespect him the way that Usopp did, I don't think Luffy would have taken it that lightly. Yeah.
Okay, so like my next note is like, yeah, we already talked about this earlier on this recording, but like I was just tearing up when the merry-go got burnt. Like, I don't know, for some reason, David, do you have, because I know you bought a fan art when we went to a convention earlier.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but does your fan art have like the new ship and the little ship, like both ships in it?
No, there was one
only the Thousand
that
Sunny?
is just the Merry, and I don't think I have anything that has the Thousand Sunny
Maybe
yet.
I've just seen like fan fiction of it or like fan art before, but I thought for some reason that they kept both ships because like the crew grew so big.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. That's a surprise for later.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I won't ask any more then. Okay. So, the fact that Garp, I remember name. I should like give myself points or like a sticker or something every time I do remember some character's name. Just to like reinforce the idea that I should remember names or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think that could work. Considering, we have ADHD and all that, whatever gives us more dopamine.
I should give myself a cookie. Forget stickers. Cookies are better.
I do have some brownies over
nice.
here.
Give me one.
What? No, fuck you. They're mine.
I remember Garp's
It's your
name.
own damn brownies.
I remember Garp's name. I deserve it. Actually,
No.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a tangent real fast, and I'm gonna ask like everyone's opinion because I just finished. Well,
It's almost 3 hours. What do you mean real fast?
well, shut up! Stop interrupting me. It's gonna take longer now. I want to know like other people because I feel like I should reward myself every time I finish a box set because that's like a milestone. Like I just accomplished something ridiculously difficult, so I should like reward myself somehow.
Hey, wait, hold on. What do I get for buying them? Because they're mine.
You get to keep
begin
them.
with.
Duh.
No. Give me your trophy.
I'm not gonna get a trophy. I just want to reward myself, and like I can't really think of like a way to reward myself. So you guys have some really good ideas, please share with me. I'm thinking maybe like a dinner out to like a fancy restaurant, probably Japanese. Oh, we did find one that was pretty good. The tea was kind of not good, but the food was pretty good. The sushi was good. Maybe I should reward myself to a meal there, a 3-course meal. Yay.
A 3-course meal? You're
dessert,
insane.
bro.
You don't even have that money. Dude, you don't have enough money to buy their free water. Get out
But
of
I
here.
need to reward myself and finish a whole box set. Do you know how hard it was? Especially when before I got to Water 7, like reading Skypiea was such a drag, bro. Like once I hit Water 7, I was like devouring those books, but before that it was really hard. But anyway, point being is that I would like to reward myself and I would like some ideas. So if you have some really good ideas on how you reward yourself or how I should reward myself, please let me know. Anyway, back to my notes. Yeah, so because I watched the live action, I already knew that Garp was Luffy's dad, so it wasn't like a surprise when he showed up. But it was just really funny, like how similar they are, because he just freaking woke up. Like everybody was letting Luffy like sleep through it, and just the fact. Wait, first before that, Luffy learned how to eat in his sleep, and I'm like, I don't know if that's dumb or that's like genius level, because there are days where I'm like, I'm hungry, but I don't really want to wake up because I'm still tired. But if I learn how to eat in my sleep, that would solve the problem.
That man sure loves his food.
Dude, for reals. Anyway, so I thought it was like so funny, like how similar like Luffy is to his grandpa. Like his grandpa like just woke him up by just punching him, and then they were just like screaming at each other, and like the grandpa was such kind of like really commanding and strong, always like flaunting his power. But then when his crew was like, dude, you broke the door, you have to help us fix it, he was like, okay, yeah, I'll help you.
He was like, what?
But then he
Yeah,
was
right.
also like kind of dumb. Cause like he just, I don't know, like sometimes like there were some things that he said or did that I was kind of like, dude, come on. And then like at one point he started picking his nose, and then I was like, bro, no, it was kind of,
That's what made you laugh. Don't forget about that.
I think it's because like Luffy does that all the time, and like I
He's a
think it's
fucking idiot.
gross, but like I just like I laughed at the similarity because they're so similar. Oh, you know how we were talking about how like the Navy is like so corrupt and stuff like that? But then I
Yeah.
got to thinking, I was like, wait, but like everyone in Garp's like crew was like completely okay with letting the group of pirates go. Because his
Well, yeah, because they work under
exactly,
Garp.
so like I think you wait. I don't remember, but if you go through like some of the other episodes that we talked about, I think we like went on like describing like top-down leadership, and like you see it again because like the crew acts like the captain, you know? And like I don't know. I really like
Yeah.
enjoy that.
I love
yeah.
it so much.
I just love like again the similarities because like I'm guessing it was his like first mate, Garp's first mate, who was like, don't say he's your grandkid, you know. And then he did, and he was ordered to come back and like fight Luffy and like bring him in. And then he's all like, I don't know why, what they like sending me to do this. I said I wasn't gonna. And then his first mate like just yell at him, just the way that Zoro yells at Luffy. Like it just reminded me of that. It was like just so similar. They're basically like, he's basically a clone of his grandpa, dude. He just behaves like that, but like, you know.
Yeah, Beauregard is such a mysterious character.
Oh, is that who he was?
Yeah, that's the guy with the that kind of looks like a inspector or something like that with the sword. That's Garp's
I don't
right
really
hand
remember
man.
him, but
Beauregard.
yeah, I just thought he was like so funny, and I was like, yeah, he's like Luffy's basically his grandpa, but they're just like opposite sides. And again, I was so happy that that Kobe and Helmepo showed up again, or Helmepo.
Oh yeah. This is when the rest of, or like all the fandom found that out, and then we were like, oh, look at Kobe's glow up. We love
I know,
that boy.
right? I was already like super attached because of the live action, and now he showed up again, and I was like, yay! Okay, one thing that I did not know is that Shanks was at the same sort of like skill level as Whitebeard.
Yeah. Isn't that
Yeah, because I just
insane?
thought he was just like some random ass pirate.
Nah, turns out he's one of the 4 emperors. And the emperors are, in the Japanese translation, are known as Yonko. So I will like say that every once in a while instead of saying 4 emperors. But the Yonko, they are the 3rd biggest world power. Right next to the government, right next to the Revolutionary Army.
So would it be like a huge spoiler if I ask you like what the emperors do?
What they do?
Yeah.
What they do?
Well, cause okay, so the way that I understood it is that they're kind of like, you know, the shark dude that we saw in Arabasta, where yeah,
The shark dude.
with the fake hand, he was a shark, right? In
Wait,
in
what
the
the fuck are you
Arabasta
talking about?
arc. Alabasta? I said Arabasta. Oh
It's either way.
yeah, the main
Yeah.
villain, the shark.
Oh my god,
Oh,
you
he was
crocodile?
that's true.
And no, he was not a crocodile. His name is Sir Crocodile. His power is the power of sand. Dude, get out of here. You fake fan.
Yeah, I
Get
was
out here.
confusing him with the shark guy from the live action.
You remember that brownie you wanted for remembering Garp's name? Yeah, this is where I take it away.
No wonder you couldn't, because usually I just call like give you like a vague description and you're like immediately no. This time you were like, what?
Yeah, no, I was so confused. I was like, are you thinking of Arlong?
I was
That was
thinking of
way
Arlong.
before Alabasta. Oh shit.
Because I was
fucking
thinking of
dingus.
his weird sharpie nose, and I was like, dude, clearly he's a shark. Okay, back to my point. You know how he kind of like rule, or like he was given permission by the Navy to like do whatever he wanted in that area? Is that kind of what the emperors do? They each have their own sort of section that they rule over?
Kind of, but they don't take any command from the Navy. In fact, they have to essentially send diplomats to talk to them. And they can't freely just attack them, otherwise they risk war.
Would you
an
say that
all-out
they're
war.
kind of like we say kind of like kings or emperors of their like their area?
4 emperors.
Well, yeah, I know, but sometimes they're given the like titles and like just because they have like cool powers
I know
or
what you
whatever.
mean. But no, yeah, they have essentially the command and power of an emperor. Wink, wink.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm really excited to like learn more about that. Yeah.
I know, right? I love like the setups and setups and setups that he does, and then like bam,
Yeah,
you
because
get
you're
answers.
just like freaking obsessed and you're like, what's gonna happen next? Like earlier when you were like, oh, just read up to the fight with Ace and that one guy. And then I was like, sure. But then I just kept reading because I was like, wait, what's gonna happen?
You passed the fight
Yeah,
between
because
Ace and
I thought it was gonna
Blackbeard.
be one of those things where like one chapter is like the fight and then another chapter is like whatever and then like another chapter is back to the fight.
Nah. This is
Wait,
what I
okay.
love about Oda. This is just a thing that happens, and then we will eventually know what was the result
bro.
from that,
Bro, can I
or
just
what
ask,
happened, because the world
is
is
that
alive.
fight the fight that Ace dies in?
You spoiled bitch. I'm not gonna tell you shit.
But David, I already know he's dead.
Yeah, but you're not gonna know how, when, or where.
I really liked him too.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the boss. He's so.
I'm gonna go into like one
Shit.
of those like fan fiction writer modes. I don't write fan fiction, but I'm just gonna go into that mode where like I just refuse to believe he's dead.
You mean denial?
Yes.
You're gonna go into denial? It's like, no,
No.
this is fan fiction. No, it's
I'm
denial.
just gonna go into like this mode. I was like, no. He just decided that he didn't want to be a pirate anymore, and he just like found like somebody to like a partner to have and like have a family and train kids to be cool.
Face the truth, please. Face the truth.
I just thought it was like really cute how when the grandpa was like, oh, I don't know, I just did this because like Helmepo and Kobe wanted to see you, so we did hang out with them for a bit. Now we're leaving. Bye. Like he just peaced out.
He's such a
Yeah,
rad motherfucker.
But then he saw like he got like all upset because Luffy was like, all right, exactly how he did it, because it was the same energy. Like Luffy was just meeting his energy, and he like the grandpa got all offended. He saw like, I want to be loved by you, and he said like, grandpa, like you haven't seen you in like years. Like what the heck? And he's like, I don't care, I'm your
He's
grandpa.
like, what the fuck, bro? You tried to kill me multiple times, and then now you're like, hey, show me
for
some love.
reals. Can I ask what haki is? Or is that something I have to learn?
Okay. It is something that you're gonna have to learn, but I can explain just like the most simple things for this. So right now, the power system is devil fruits. If you have a devil fruit, you have an advantage over other people that are just minding their
normal
own
people?
goddamn business. Essentially, yeah. And like the sand fruit?
Huh?
The sand fruit. Crocodile's
yeah.
fruit. Yeah. You know how Luffy had to essentially figure out a weakness for it? Haki makes it so that it doesn't matter if you have a devil fruit and you can still get your ass kicked.
So it's like
I'm not
so
gonna
it's
tell
like
you
another power
how,
system, kind
but
of like Hamon
yeah,
in JoJo.
kinda, yeah. It's a complementary power system that just works. And because of its simplicity, it's just really cool and well done the way that Oda does it.
All right, cool, cool.
But this is just also me being a fanboy. I'm like, oh, it's so cool, dude.
I just
Like
thought
a
it was really funny
hacky.
how like the one grandma lady was explaining to the crew like the dangers that they have to pass over in order to get to like her home island. And
Yeah.
then Nami was like all scared, and she said like, "Ghost, I don't want to see any ghost." And the lady's like, "Oh, some of the ships like went down, and they have treasure." And she's like, "Yeah, let's go!" Like she just did a 180.
She fucking double. She took like one hell of a 360 real fucking quick. Fastest turnaround I've ever
It
seen.
was so funny, dude. When the crew got shown their like their wanted posters, and Sanji was a drawing because they didn't have a picture of him.
Yeah. It's so fucking dumb,
He
dude.
was so upset, and then I'm like, like he's the only one that will care the most because he's always like super like well dressed, even when he's in fights and whatnot, like with his hands in his pockets, like he's always posing or whatever. And he's the one that didn't have a picture, and I was like, oh, dude. So funny.
Yeah, motherfucker got screwed over by the camera guy that didn't take his picture. I think Oda did create a character. I can't remember his name, but the reason why there's no pictures for Zanji is because the guy that was supposed to take like his picture had the camera lens on.
Oh no,
And
no,
again,
yeah.
this is one
It
of those
was-
things that is
it
answered
was-
in the
it was
SBS.
in the manga, like that was the explanation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny. And then I was like, meanwhile, Usopp in the live action, like doing a Mike Wazowski where he was like so happy that the back of his head was in the wanted poster. So funny. I just thought it like it was just so funny when they were like the crew got shown the ship for the first time. And everyone was like, "Whoa, it's so cool! It's so big! It's amazing!" And Sanji, he's just like vibrating with energy like a little kid. He's like, "The kitchen! Show me the kitchen! I want to see the kitchen!" He was so funny.
See, you see what I mean? All
Yeah.
in.
Maybe he also has ADHD and like his hyperfixation.
Oh,
is not-
absolutely. Dude, if he isn't ADHD coded, I am insane. What?
Let's see. Oh, dude. I'm like getting super tired with hating that 3 hour thing. So I think we're just gonna breeze through this. This is the last page of my notes, but I wanted to actually spend a lot of time talking about this because I felt like it was like really, really important. Like when Iceberg talks to Frankie and was like, bro, like you stay on this island out of like, you know, penance for like Tom dying basically because of his inventions. And then he's like, but like everyone here has already forgiven you. Tom forgave you. You just have to forgive yourself. And I was like, bro, like he just like I don't know, like slapped reality into Frankie. And I was like, dude, that's so good. And I wanted to have a conversation with you about like whether it should be forgive and forget or forgive and don't forget, but we ain't got time for that.
Real quick, forgive and don't forget. That's it. That's my answer.
You have to back it up. You can't just say the answer. You have to back it up.
No.
David!
Nope. Not
You
doing
can
it.
just say that.
Can't make me.
I'll bring it up next episode.
I'll forget about it next episode.
Same. Shut up. Another quote. I think this one, I don't know who, I think it was one of Frankie's like family, one of the Frankie family, who said,
good.
"What's wrong with thinking about your own happiness?" to Frankie, because Frankie was like, "Oh, I have to stay with you guys. I have to take care of you." And then his whole family was like, "Nah, bro, like you've done enough. Like we noticed that you're really happy building ships and you clearly want to go with them. So just go with them. Like what's wrong with just, you know, being happy or doing something for yourself?" And I was like, oh, that's so true. And I think again, like that's one thing that we forget a lot, right? Like when we're trying to compromise with other people, we're trying to be like, oh, you know, I'm an adult, I can't do that anymore, or like, you know, like, but sometimes you do have to put yourself first, even if you're a father, if you're a sibling, if a daughter, like you have to like also think about your own happiness sometimes.
That is absolutely right. But also remember that like Frankie was such a fucking tsundere the entire time. He was like, nah,
Well, he was like
guys.
one of those characters who was like super protective about everyone else, but not about his own
Yeah,
situation.
but not
Yeah, because
himself.
he held himself,
Yeah.
and I think that he held himself to a different standard than everyone else, right?
Like a
And I
way
think
higher
we
one.
do that all the time. It's just like a very human thing for us to do, to have like that double standard, whether we hold other people to a higher standard than ourselves, or do we hold ourselves to a higher standard. But that's why like it's so important to be sort of like aware of these things, right? Like being aware of like why you're doing that, why you're like are you giving up on your own happiness? Is that something you actually do want, or are you just sort of like putting yourself in the background as opposed to also thinking about yourself and trying to find an actual compromise where like both of the parties at hand are getting whatever it is that they want, and there's no loser or winner in the compromise.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen those like throughout history, right, where there were like so many compromises or whatever, especially like after like the different world wars. A lot of like compromises were like not really compromises.
Like really shitty ones. They were basically like, hey, take this shitty end of the deal and
Yeah, because you
good luck with
lost,
that.
so now you have no other
Yeah.
choice but to take this deal. So I don't know, like, let me know if you know this, but like I kind of remember that because of the sanctions that Germany had to face after World War I, that's kind of what also triggered World War II, because they were like so unfair, and like the people were like suffering, and they needed a way to like blame somebody.
Yeah, pretty
So
much. And because of their lack of actual compromise rather than punishment, World War II happened really easily. Because otherwise, it would not have gone out of hand real quick like that.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were just kind of like follow weird mustache guy because um
Charlie
no,
Chaplin?
I we actually like him. um because he was giving them sort of like an opportunity to get out of their struggle, you know, like, and like trying to build like a better world, even though it was by punishing and like doing all kinds of like really bad things to um the Jewish community and anybody who didn't measure up to whatever dumb standard that they have, right? But that's what happens quite often, like when you're in a horrible sort of like situation where like your survival is heavily dependent on like someone like reaching out or helping you. Like we see this in like war torn countries all the time, and because people are so desperate to like survive, that if they're like, hey, I'll give you a roof over your head and a meal in your belly like every day, or like 3 square meals a day for you if you join my army, everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, dude, yes, even though I don't agree with anything that you're doing, and you like basically destroyed our whole like community and civilization, but you're offering me something that I need to survive. So people do what they need to survive, and sometimes there's a lot of sort of like almost brainwashing that happens in situations like that, because you're just trying to survive, and like you're at a point where you're like, yeah, I'll just go along with this.
Despite the fact that you may not even agree with any of that, you still have to kind of like fold over again because it's pure survival. When are you going to get another chance?
Right, yeah. And that's how like um people who are like cruel or like do cruel things sometimes, most of the time, stay in power, right? Because they have that thing over people. They're like, your survival depends on me, so either you join me or you don't survive. And I think it's just like in our DNA to want to survive.
Oh, absolutely. We are survivors. That's
literally all we do, all we've ever done.
Yeah. Okay. On to like a nicer kind of topic. Again, like this is when you kind of like saw, um, or how I saw like Luffy really like stepping up, to his position as captain, because when he invited Frankie into the ship, even though Frankie built it, Luffy was like, "Come on my ship." You know, I love that he
Yeah.
did that. It was like a very simple, like, I'm the captain now. And you come on my ship, you listen to me. Yeah, I really like that.
Very much like a child getting a new toy, but at the same time, you have a weird respect towards him. Just how forward he is.
You mean Luffy?
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, because like at this point, he's really balancing the whole, like being really chill and carefree and like all about like keeping his crewmates like safe and doing whatever it is best for the crewmates or for like the crew, but also cementing his position as the captain. And I think like that conversation, maybe I think that conversation that he had with Zoro really meant like cemented it. You know? Like
Yeah.
where he was kind of like, oh yeah, he was like once again reminded that you're the captain and you need to like make your position clear.
Also, this is not a game. This is quite literally
Yeah,
life or
because
death.
I remember like Luffy was basically just doing things because he would just wanted to go on an adventure and stuff. And now he's kind of like you. I mean, of course he wanted to be captain because he wanted to be like Shanks. But now he's kind of like realizing what the job actually entails, and he's stepping up. And I really enjoy that.
In a very respectable way, too.
Yeah, but I really also enjoy the fact, or really like the fact that he's not taking himself too seriously. You know, he's like, yeah, I'm the captain, but
Yeah.
we're still gonna joke around.
But
yeah.
he's still Luffy. Yeah.
And I wanted to end this by going on a tangent because I really wanted to tell this story, but it has nothing to do with One Piece, but kind of. So earlier we started like we were trying to, because David has a new mic, we were trying to like figure out how to like what methods to use to like record and how it was gonna sound like, because David is literally like, I don't know, like 4 feet away from me, like I can see him. And like we're like, oh no, are our mics gonna pick up like each other's like conversations? So we're trying to like fine tune, and by we I mean David. And then I was just like sitting on my desk.
Just my
I was
job.
sitting on my desk, and we had some chicken for lunch, and we give the bones to our dogs. And then I was like, hey, we just give two to them right now, two bones, one for each, and then like the rest we're gonna just leave it on the table for like a later snack. You know, I didn't want to just like feed them a bunch of bones. And I just kind of like forgot about it, and I started sort of like doing whatever David was telling me to do to try to fix our microphones or like connect them. And I just like looked over, and my fat dog, like took advantage of like us like willy-nilly leaving like the chairs like pulled out, and like climbed onto the table and stole like a chicken bone and ate it in front of my face. And I just kind of thought it was funny. So I did yell at him, but I didn't reinforce any discipline because I was like, that's kind of on me. I felt like the crew after Luffy disappeared, and the crew was kind of like, oh, that's on us because we weren't paying attention to what we were telling Luffy. We weren't listening to what he said. Like, we should have known. Like, that's how I felt. I was like, yeah, I should have known my dog was going to do that because he's fat. And also, he's done it before, but before it was for tortillas.
He a big chunky boy.
But he's so fluffy and I love him. Anyway, that was my side story. And with that, we're going to end because like we already actually hit the 3-hour mark. I know.
Christ.
Like,
I
my
have to edit
voice
this.
really hurts. my throat.
Well, then
I
shut
wanna
up.
talk about One Piece, David.
Dude, Sam.
But you need to
But
talk
shut up.
more. So I
You keep
know.
talking.
Well, it's because like
not my
everything is
fault.
like so new to me, and I'm like, let me just tell you what I thought about this cool, fun thing, and then you're like, yeah, me too.
I just egg you on, to be honest. That is all I do here.
Anyway, yes, we're gonna end that there. Check out some of the other videos about other topics, like the ADHD one I mentioned earlier, which I don't know in what order they're gonna come out. So hopefully it is already out by the time this one's out. I don't know. Yeah, so this has been another episode. Thank you so much for this is gonna be a long one. Let us actually know if you would prefer a really long video or two like shorter videos. That way we know what will be best to put out there. I personally really like long videos, so I would like to put it all just like that. It's probably gonna be like 2.5 hours, like once David does the editing and whatnot. But if you have a preference for like shorter videos, we can also do that. And by we, I mean David, because he's the one that edits. And yeah, if you want more information about like mental health, or just like, you know, want to geek out about different kind of fandoms and learn a little bit about mental health, you can always check out my website, Psychology for Geeks. You can also check out my social media, Psych the number 4 Geeks. And thank you so much again for listening to this really long video. And yeah, give us a like and share it with other people, and subscribe so you know when, I guess you kind of get a reminder of when the next post is, because I don't know how long it's gonna take me to read the next box set or like the next arc. So yeah, and don't forget to reframe and re-enchant your life.